Hello, everybody. Welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today, what's today? Friday. It's Friday. It's the 17th of January, 2020, and it's a crazy, crazy day. How crazy is it? How crazy is it? It's so crazy. You'd think that during the holidays, during Christmas, when everybody's ordering all this stuff and the delivery services are just overwhelmed with millions of packages to deliver, that there would be issues resulting from that, right? Issues with the package not arriving correctly or at the right address or even packaged correctly. But none of that happened this season. Everything that my customers ordered was packed perfectly and arrived perfectly, no damage. Everything was great. Well, there was one little exception, but that was actually after the holidays. Today, I got a motherboard in the mail for a future build, and this is how it was shipped to me. Can you believe this? They slapped an address label on the motherboard box. It wasn't even taped closed. I mean, the whole box is completely exposed. Now, I've never seen this happen before. I've never before experienced, and this is supposedly from Amazon. This is from maybe an Amazon Marketplace seller or something. I don't know. I told the customer what to order, and the customer made some mistakes apparently in ordering, and I don't know even how this happens. This is the weirdest thing I've ever. I had to show it to you because I couldn't believe they just left this at my front door like this. Just crazy. Something else I got in the mail today, and I always love when I get stuff like this. This is a letter that arrived from a gentleman named Albert. Albert watches in Carey, Indiana, I believe. And he included $20 cash, and he said, this is all he said, great videos. Let's give a shout out to Albert. Everybody say, hi, Albert. Thank you, Albert. That's really cool. Listen, I come from the land of the 80s. I was a teenager in the 1980s. And if you wanted to talk to somebody in another state, you had to pay a lot of money per minute on a phone call, or you sat down and you sent a letter. You wrote a letter. Maybe you had a typewriter. Maybe, if you were lucky, you had a computer that you could use for word processing because there was no internet. And then you would print out the letter, or you would write the letter by hand and hope the recipient could read your handwriting. And then you would address the envelope and put a stamp on it and take it to the mailbox and raise the flag, or take it to one of those postal boxes that stand alone and you drop it in there. It took a lot more effort to say hello to somebody. And when somebody goes through that extra effort, even if it's just to write 2 words, you know they put a lot of extra effort in that than, say, somebody who just attaches an image to an email and says great videos. You know what I mean? Like, I really appreciate the effort. It's not necessary, but it's old school, and I think that's cool. All right, so thank you, Albert. Thanks for your support. Okay, I'm fired up. I got a lot of work to do. I have been going crazy because of how many systems I've sold. I've already started asking people to hold back until February before I take on any more work. This is absolutely insane. The feedback between the app, what's going on with the app, that's selling like hotcakes, and I appreciate everybody's support on that. We realized on the NetFix app that I'm referring to that it doesn't work properly in non-English versions of Windows, and the amount of research that that'll take to fix that issue, it is not worth it, because we don't have enough people watching in non-English speaking countries to justify the cost and testing of that development. So for anybody who's purchased it and it doesn't work on a non-English version of Windows, we will happily refund your money to you. I didn't even think about it when we were writing it. It absolutely, well, I didn't write it. Nick is the genius behind all the coding and interface. I'm the one who's demanding. Said, I need this. And I didn't think in the testing of it about, this is a worldwide channel. So there are people running non-English versions of Windows. So unfortunately, the app is not going to work for you guys, and it doesn't make any sense for us to develop the app unless there are a large number of requests from a single or a few English alternative versions of Windows that would justify the expense in adding that. So that's news to me. Thanks you guys for all of your support. It's an amazing community that we have here, and and as a result of it, and hopefully you guys won't have to deal with it, but as a result of it, there is some people that don't like it. They don't like this community, maybe because they weren't accepted in it. I don't know what their problem is, but we're not going to let them stop us. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to expand because we know we're doing the right thing and we've got each other's backs, and that's all that matters. So thank you guys so much for all your support, and thanks for joining me today. And what I'm going to do today is I've got a couple of systems that you've seen up here for the last, well, this whole week, really. I need to get them done. In fact, the parts in this system, this is Joey's system, I need to put these into the Be Quiet Pure Base 500 non-windowed case. I had built that with anticipation of selling it. Well, a customer bought that. They bought, let me rephrase, Joey bought that, really. I put Joey's parts in the wrong case. So what I've got to do is I got to take Joey's parts out of the Be Quiet 500, which is not the windowed one with all the pretty colors. That's not the RGB one. That one's already delivered. This is pretty simple stuff. I got to pull Joey's parts, put them in the Be Quiet case, pull the Be Quiet parts, put them in this case, and then Joey gets the Be Quiet, and a gentleman named Valentine is going to be getting this system. Valentine is a Vietnam vet, and he has some pretty powerful demands he needs out of a computer, and I actually have, when John Yasuda sent me his X99 system for repair, he had these two GTX 980s in there that were in SLI, and I took all those out, and I used one of them in one system, and I told Valentine I'll give him the other GTX 980 so he doesn't have to buy a graphics card. And it's not like he's necessarily needing a contribution, but come on, he's a Vietnam vet, for crying out loud. What can I do to help the guy? And furthermore, how can I get this GTX 980 out of my house to somebody who really deserves it? You know what I mean? I don't feel right selling it because John Yasuda gave it to me, and now I put one in the repaired system that went to Tony Wallow, and I'll take the other one and that'll go to Valentine. So I hope John's okay with that, but I'm not making any money because, like I said, that was all given, so even Tony Wallow got his computer at no cost, although Tony contributes all the time. So Tony's more or less paid for it. If not, the way he's going, he soon will, and then some. So certainly deserving of it. And then, of course, Valentine, we want to build him something really good, really reliable. The system he's got now is like 8 years old, and it's working for him, but it's very slow, mechanical drive, all that stuff. So when I'm done today, I should have 3 systems, if I'm able to focus, ready to ship, because not only Joey and Valentine, but behind me, there's a system that is for Bill in Oregon, and I just have a really simple things to do that's holding me up. Cable management, add the Wi-Fi card. Maybe Windows needs to be activated. So normally I would just do this off camera. This isn't a whole lot to watch. You know what I mean? Like, it's not exciting. But that being said, we do have the AMD 3950X build coming up, I hope Wednesday. Or is it Friday? I think it's Wednesday. The big date, the big date I want you to remember is Friday, January 31st at around noon Pacific time. Mitch is coming over. Mitch is going to help me with camera work and keep me company and just be my friend, And he's going to help me build the Xenos G3, which is so cool. This will be a very unique experience in the sense that there's no other channel, there's no other web page, there's no other source for this, what I'm about to show you. The hardware is very unique as far as the case is concerned, and while other YouTubers have shown this case and other websites have discussed this case, a significant modification has been made to the case to allow for liquid cooling. And I'm so excited because nobody in the world has this. So This will be unique content for our community. And I think that's just awesome. And I can't thank John Zenos enough, not only for his patience and for his skill and his craft, but for going the extra mile. And you guys have to know that this has been a project of mine now for about 4 years. There's nothing I've worked on this long. There's nothing I've spent this much money on. This will be the best, this will be the most expensive, this will be the most unique video I've ever made. So, as you can imagine, I am very excited for it, and I hope you are too, because when it's done, it should be incredible. Not just look incredible, it should perform incredibly. Truth be told, the AMD 3950X should also perform incredibly as well. So, I am not, pushing on AMD or pushing against Intel or vice versa. We're going to build both the best that they have to offer for the consumer line of chips, and we're just going to have fun with it. Root for your favorite team if you want, whatever. I'm sure the AMD 3950 will shine in a lot of multi-threaded tasks, whereas I think the Intel build will shine as far as single core in gaming. It'll outpace the 3950 in gaming. However, they are darn near equal in so many ways, and yet so far superior in other ways that it's interesting to watch the closed-mindedness of the people online going, well, this one's superior. Well, it's only superior for the way you want to use it, and the other one is superior for the way those people want to use it. And you're both right. So, a couple of contributions have come in, so let's say hello here. Red Dragon's contributed $2. He says, this is to help a vet. Well, right on. Well, thank you, Red Dragon. I think Red Dragon was a vet that got one of the giveaway computers, right? Is that the same Red Dragon? And that is helping. So the contributions are what make it possible for me to be this generous. It's not really my generosity, it's yours. I'm just taking it from this hand and putting it over here to that hand. So thank you guys so much for helping. Marty Yoels contributed $10 and says, we love it. Thank you, Marty. Rudiger Luthi has contributed $2. He says, greetings, Carey, wrenches, and chat. I thought he said wenches. I looked at it and said, wenches? That's kind of rude. How dare you? And what else do we have? Jesse Kirk, good friend of the channel here, has contributed $5. He says, I second that. I love this fantastic community. Mervyn Jordan's contributed $5. He says, your videos are helping a lot of people. Thank you. Yeah, and a lot of people don't like, well, not a lot. There are some people who don't like that I'm helping people. Like, those people think I should shut my channel down and not help anybody ever again. They're completely blind to the thousands of people that watch my videos and appreciate them and see value in them. But because these individuals don't see value in them, they think it's okay to try and hurt all of you. So we'll keep them at bay. And of course, with the people in blue in the chat, you guys can shut people down pretty quickly as well. So I appreciate your help in that when they come in and try and stir the pot. Chris Storer has contributed $1.99. He says, hey, Carey, hope your Friday is going well. Thank you, Chris, and I hope your Friday's going well as well. Michael B. has contributed $5. Your videos help me choose the Gigabyte H370 HD3 as a base for my new build. Motherboard works great. Oh, it does. I know it does. It's a good board. And it's a really value. It's a bargain. Not that there aren't better motherboards, but they're all more money. I don't think there's anything better at $100. In fact, I don't think there's anything close at $100. Jesse Kirk contributed again $2. He says, happy Friday. Glad to see you today, Carey. Thank you again, Jesse. Jesse's been a good friend of the channel. And somebody I was remiss in mentioning the other day, and I'm beating myself up over it, but John Jack Wilson, called Jack, has contributed regularly from the channel. And when I was mentioning all the help I'm getting, and I was mentioning names off the top of my head, I don't know why his name wasn't right there. It should have been, and I want to make sure I fix that. And I bet you there's probably 2 or 3 other people that I haven't mentioned that I should be. So I'll try and do a better job at that, but I want you to know that I really appreciate you guys very much. And whether you're contributing financially or you're contributing as just a friendly, supportive community member, or you contribute through sharing the videos or using the Amazon link or buying one of my little apps to save you some time, I hope. I appreciate all that support, and again, it's the fuel that's needed desperately to help keep me sponsor free. I've had a lot of pushback about a studio. I've had about 12 people say, I mean, that to me is a lot of pushback, even though thousands of people watch my videos, but 12 people have gone out of the way to say, we like your kitchen. Well, you know, I appreciate your enthusiasm. I do like the fact that you like the kitchen, given that I get so much harassment from it, from people that are disrespectful. However, nothing lasts forever. There may be a time when I go back to Michigan and I won't have a kitchen, or there may be a time when I just simply move to another location, because my location's getting pretty bad with drive-by shootings and all kinds of, the neighborhood's going in the wrong direction for somebody like me to kind of feel like I don't belong here anymore. So this may have to go away regardless if I get a studio or not. Some people have made recommendations to save the money for this that I would spend on a studio. But I think what people aren't realizing is they are unintentionally holding me back. They're saying, no, Carey, we don't want you to be more professional and get more get corporate sponsorships that could increase the level of quality of your videos. You could hire employees and have cameramen or people and editors, and you could have videos without the interruptions of the doorbell and deliveries and landscapers. We don't want to see you succeed. We want to see you stay small. And I know that's not what they mean when they say it. They don't mean they're wishing me harm, but this is only so sustainable in what I can achieve doing what I'm doing right now and asking for contributions. So something's got to change, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that. The studio is an idea, and regardless of what it costs, the idea is that a sponsor will cover those costs. Could a sponsor cover costs of saying my studio is the kitchen? Possibly, but many companies, many professional corporations may not want to align themselves with an amateur. They probably want to align themselves with somebody who appears more polished and professional to be associated, with them. So that's sort of the uphill battle I face. If I want to see that level of success with regards to income and with regards to channel size, and those two things are directly related. If I want to grow, I mean, God forbid I want to grow. I should just stay where I am forever, right? But that doesn't mean that's the only way to grow, right? So I'm taking that into consideration. And again, the studio and the costs of it really are irrelevant, because if a sponsor doesn't pick up the entire cost, then there's not going to be a studio. It's real simple. Because based on the contributions that I've received through YouTube and the revenue that's generated through YouTube, I can make ends meet, but I'm not going to be buying a Tesla anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? Everything's okay, but if I want to achieve more, I have to change what I'm doing to increase the appeal of the channel to more people. That in turn makes it more appealing to potential sponsors, and especially in a more professional environment. So these are things I've got to weigh and consider. And I haven't made up my mind yet, and I haven't really sent any feelers out for sponsorship, although one gentleman has issued some interest in it. I haven't talked to him about it, and I don't know what sort of budget he had in mind either, or how we would do the sponsorship. So all of that is still up in the air. It is yet to be decided. Plus, are we charging for videos in the future? Will I be getting sponsors in the kitchen? Is that possible? Would any big corporation be willing to do that? Obviously, that would be worth a lot less. So that also sort of limits what I can do for growth. So I gotta figure this out. That's why I said 2020 is going to be a really exciting year for me, just because there's going to be some changes, some experimentation to determine what's working and what's not working, and fine-tune this thing to hopefully continue to grow much faster than it's growing. Get about 4,000 subscribers a month, which you might think sounds good. But at 276,000 subscribers, at 4,000 a month, who can do the math and tell me how many months it'll take for me to hit 1 million subscribers? And how old will I be? You'll be dead, Carey. That's what we know. well, then I think I better change some things. Don't you agree? So that's my reasoning. That's where I'm at. And thank you for joining me. Let's get some work done. Oh, and I missed a couple contributions here. So I missed quite a few. Wow. Okay, here we go. IZ says, Carey, I sent you $7.77 via PayPal. Thank you, IZ. You should be a moderator, and you are now. Thank you. Mike Yazzi's contributed $5. He says, hey, Carey, enjoy your Friday. Jack Cornelison has contributed $2. Thank you to Jack. Brendan Looney's contributed £2. I see Dave Murray in there. Hey, Dave, welcome in. Dave joins us from Scotland. And what else do we have? Oh, Brendan's very nice. Brendan, you could be a moderator too. How about that? Let's turn everybody blue. What else we got? Panayiotis, Jan, oh man, he's got to be Greek. Panayiotis Yanoukas. I'm sorry, I probably just butchered your name horribly. I built my PC 3 years ago completely alone, all thanks to Carey. Moderator. Pete Unwin says, hello, you lovely people. Madman Dark Jedi says, hello, everybody. Hey. Todd Hector says, I think they see value, but they feel they're losing too much personal income by me sharing information. The world's a big place. They couldn't possibly, if that's their thinking, wow. Ferris Almanai contributed $5.55 and says, thanks for the great content. Love the videos and streams. Much love from Bahrain. Moderator status for you, Ferris. Todd Hector's contributed 20 Canadian dollars. Thank you, Todd. Very generous. Steve W.'s contributed $2. Says, thanks for the great videos. I'll make Steve a moderator, too. Michael B.'s contributed $2. Says, sorry about the mistake. I don't know what you're talking about there, but you're moderator. What else? What else am I missing? Man, you guys are generous today. Thank you. Donnie Seeger's contributed $4.99. Thank you, Donnie. He says you're awesome. No, you're awesome. You're the man. No, you're the man. Andreas Kadastrom has contributed 50 Norwegian krona. He says, hey, Carey, long time since I managed to catch you live. Here's a small contribution. I wish you a good weekend. Moderator status for Andreas. Thank you. IZ says you should move back to Michigan and then look for a studio. No, the studio would be in the basement of the house I buy in Michigan. That's already a done deal. I already know how that's going to work. Houses in Arizona very rarely have basements. It's pretty unusual. But houses in Michigan very rarely don't. And a basement would be just the perfect place for a studio. Jen D has contributed 5 Canadian dollars. Said, I didn't get a chance to make a donation last week. Here's 2 toonies and a loony. Enjoy. Right on, Jen. Thank you. And moderator status for you, of course. Red Dragons contributed $2 and says 1 or 2 times a month, green screen the kitchen. I certainly could. Christopher Turner says, hello, Carey. Love the videos. Right on, Chris. You're a moderator as well now. So thank you guys so much for your contributions and support. I'm still trying to figure that name out. Panayiotis says, I am indeed Greek. What a shock. John H. contributed £5. He goes, this is to celebrate my new Rise and Build. Hi, I am from London. Hey, John, welcome in, and moderator status. So for you two, wonderful. I just got like 7 new moderators today. This is a good day. It feels good. Let me get this motherboard out of the way before I confuse it with somebody else's parts, because it's crazy. It is absolutely, I've never had this many parts here at once, and I love it. It's a good problem to have. It means I'm busy. It means, oops, it means I dropped my microphone. It means people see value in what I do, and that's very, very important to me. And I'm so glad that I can have such a positive impact and set an example in a world where everybody seems out for themselves, and if anybody's doing anything to help somebody, there's always somebody to get offended or upset by it when it has nothing to do with them. My best advice, and the world is so big today, the internet's a big place, And the world is a big place, as I said. So if there's something you don't like, walk away. If there's something that's illegal, report it to the authorities. Trying to get involved yourself and act as some social justice warrior isn't going to get you anywhere. All that gets blocked and knocked down pretty darn quick. You'll soon find you're wasting your time. But be that as it may, I can't control the madness that's out there, but I have to deal with it sometimes. But with all of your help and your friendship and your support, it makes it so much easier to just flick away the little annoying gnats, you know? So in the meantime, I hope to see this community continue to grow. I'd love to see it get 10 times bigger than it is, at the very minimum, because I know there's many more people that are good than that are bad. And there's no reason other than my lack of marketing that this channel is not 10 times bigger. So again, I want to address that in 2020 and try and figure that out, figure out where I'm going wrong or what I'm missing, and make myself a lot more friends. And so we can all have a lot more friends, and we can have this better, bigger example that's in the eyes of other creators and other people around the world to show this is possible. So strength in numbers, and the good far outnumber the bad. So again, thank you for joining me, and let's get some work done, huh? Let's do this. Brian Irwin says, Carey, I sent you $20 through, well, where'd it go? Gosh darn it. This chat is a little crazy today. Brian Irwin says, Carey sent you $20 through PayPal. I continue to enjoy your channel. Right on, Brian. Thank you. Wayne Lawrence, Ben Fitzpatrick. Hi, guys. Carl Wilson. Randall Hill. Good to see you guys. Donald Burton's contributed $5. He says, thank you for the insight on how YouTube works. Well, or how YouTube doesn't work in some cases. But, you know, it is what it is, and we'll do the best with what we got. You get dealt cards, and you just play your hand the best you can. Since we have no control over what cards are in our hand, I'm not going to fold and walk away, you know? And the channel's doing better now than it ever has done. It's more popular now. I'm busier than I've ever been. So I'm doing something right. But it's not enough. There's got to be a way to expand this far faster. So we'll work on it. All right. Thanks for everybody for all your contributions. And thanks for hanging out. Again, it means a lot to me. So what I want to do first, I suppose we're going to just take Joey's system here, and we're going to disassemble it. I was debating, since the motherboard and the CPU are identical in the Be Quiet case as they are here, I was debating on being lazy and just changing the RAM and the SSD out. But after I took the SSD out for the test yesterday for the 660p versus the 665p from Intel, I can't seem to get the screw back in it straight because the heat sink's in the way and the screwdriver only goes in on an angle. And because it's a fine threaded screw, it'll start on an angle just as easy as it starts straight, but I can't get it to go in straight. And I lost patience with it, so I'm going to have to take the heat sink off. If I got to take the heat sink off, it's just 5 screws to pull the motherboard out, and the power supply is no big deal. So I'm just going to pull it and replace it. It's not replace it, exchange it. And I'll do the same on the Be Quiet Pure Base 500 build, and that way, even though parts are parts, they're all the same. I don't know. Technically, those are Joey's parts, and technically the other parts belong to the other case. But when you order, like I've got 5 motherboards that are all the same, brand new in a box, never been used. When you order a motherboard, and let's say it matches somebody else's, exactly the same, came in the same time, the only difference is the serial number. One's not more likely to fail. Serial numbers are not recorded on the sale, so it's not like your receipt's not going to match what you bought. But I thought about it, and I thought, well, if something were to go wrong with one of those motherboards, and that motherboard was supposed to go to the other person, I'll feel bad about it. Even though I have no control over it, and it's not likely to happen, the right thing to do is to just keep the components where they belong. That's my OCD, you know, even though in reality, it's just a random, you know, whatever when you order from Amazon or Newegg, whatever the stock person reaches up and grabs for the box and shoves into the shipping box, that's what you get. It's not like you have you're not picking fruit. You're not like squeezing them going, oh, that's a good motherboard. It's nice and firm. I wish it was that easy to tell. But regardless, it's OCD. I gotta keep it all straight. So let's go ahead and just disconnect what we've done here. And I'll show you how easy this is anyway. I don't really do this ever. And, I want to tell you. I built a system. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can find it. I built a computer that I gave to a friend of mine. This friend of mine is somebody, his name is Ron, and he was the only person I've ever taken under my wing as an apprentice and taught him. And then that guy had the nerve to move away, and he moved far away. He's in Illinois, which is quite a distance from Arizona. And I had built a computer, and I thought, I think Ron would really like this, and I mailed it to him. So I started thinking about other projects, unique projects, things I can do on my channel that nobody else does. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if Ron sent me that computer back and we'd look at its current status, how it's aged, and we upgrade it for Ron and send it back to him. Well, I talked to Ron, and it seems the system failed for some reason, and they ended up using it as a donor. And, you know, the video card went into his son's system, and not the power supply, there's some other component went to another computer, and there's not much left of it inside. And I said, you know what, Ron, that's fine, because I would just strip those parts out of it anyway. They're many years old, and if you still have the case and it's still in good shape, mail it to me. And he did. Now, the system I'm talking about, I'm trying to find right now so you guys can get a reference. So I built, it's called How to Build a Portable LAN Gaming PC. This is a video I did on July 21st, 2014. Let me put a link in the chat room here. So that link I just put in the chat room is for this video. This video has, how many views? 64,000, over 64,000 views. And it's this little portable LAN machine with a carrying handle on top. It's a mini ITX. And that little mini ITX computer with most of the parts removed from it cost him $35 via FedEx to ship it. But regardless, if you guys want to watch the video, and I will reference this video when I do the upgrade to it. We're going to take a look at its current status, and I'll find something I can use to put in there and make it good again. And if you look at the video notes, it's got the parts list, which was a Leon Lee PC case. It was a Gigabyte Z87N motherboard, so Z87 series with a Core i5 4570, which was a quad-core processor. It had 8 gigs of RAM, where we use 16 and 32 nowadays. It had a GeForce GTX 650 amp edition. Woo, smoking. It also had a Silverstone 450-watt small form factor power supply, which he says is still in there and is fine. It had a Samsung 840 series solid-state drive. Remember I said I've never seen a failed solid-state drive? Well, guess what? The solid-state drive was removed and is being used in another system, and it works still perfectly fine today. The optical drive was one of those slim drives, so I'm sure that's probably still in there. And I had also sent him a keyboard and a mouse. It was $1,000, almost $1,100 as of September of 2013. And the build video was done in July of 2014, so I'm not quite sure why there's almost a year between when the video was made and when the parts were purchased. That's kind of weird. I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, I know it probably happened. The video may have been several pieces because I was recording my videos and editing them. And then maybe by the time all the edits were done, that many months had gone by. That's why it's better to go live, because everything's fresh, like really fresh. So anyway, I'm excited to get this little case back and to sort of go back and revisit it and see what we can do to modernize it. I'm excited to help my friend, and I'm excited to revisit this old case, because each one of these builds I do, it's like my child. It's like my little creation. And so it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit when someone dismantles my work, especially when I just did it. I'm very proud of the work that I do. And so here I've got a system I built. I think it had some heat issues. I don't think that Lian Li case has very good airflow. But we'll keep that in mind as I bring it back to life. So that's supposed to be here next week, and then I've got to get all these computer builds done, but once, like I've got all the AMD build done, all the customer builds are done, the Xenos build is done. Once all that is behind me and I've got like some time where I can just have some fun, well, the Xenos build and the AMD build will be fun. I mean, a lot of fun. But that because this isn't going to any customers, it's going to a friend. So it'll just be another project to line up down the road. Might be 2 months before I actually get to it. We'll see. We'll see how long. 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks, I don't know. But I'm excited. If you can't tell, I'm kind of excited to get it back because I know it's dead. And the exciting part is to bring it back to life and to make it better than it ever was before. Yeah, it should be cool. We'll turn this thing into a rocket ship. We're going to give it a better life than it's ever had. Glenn Davies has contributed 10 Australian dollars. He says that's the great NetFix tool. Could it generate a log file? You said when it fixed the streaming computer that you didn't know what changes were made. That info might be handy to other users in some scenarios. It's not. So what I'm trying to do, Glenn, is I'm trying to make it so you don't have to look at log files, that it doesn't matter what change was made, because there's no benefit to knowing, as far as I'm concerned. If there's any other issues down the road, you just run the tool on that and let the tool do that for you. I will talk to Nick about it. I don't know how much added work that is to write a log file, but I just truly, myself personally, I don't like log files. I'm not a fan of them. The amount of time spent looking at a log file to me is wasted time, at least in the line of work that I do. I'm much faster personally when there's tools I can trust that can just take care of certain aspects of repairs or maintenance that I can trust. And the tool does tell you when you run it with the little checkboxes, if everything on that checkbox does has already been done to that machine, it won't already be checked for you. Like it's intelligent enough to know what it's recommending based on the machine you're running it on. But again, I'll bring it up to Nick. I'll see what he has to say about it. But I personally would never use the log file, because whatever the tool is fixing, it's fixed. It's already done. So knowing what it fixed to me is pointless. And if you're like, well, that knowledge will help me fix another machine. No, it won't. On another machine, just run the tool again. That's a lot faster than reading log files. But again, I appreciate the suggestion. It's a valid one, just not one that I personally am real excited about. It's not something I would use. But just because I wouldn't use it doesn't mean it wouldn't be of service to somebody else for whatever reason. Planet Cryos contributed $10. He said, every little bit helps, so here you are, cool dude. Thank you, Planet Cryos. I appreciate that. All right, I really, really need to focus on getting some work done, please. Hello, Rich Robbins, Tony Wallow, Luke Greenia. Welcome in, guys. All familiar names. Friends of the channel, Mike Perrodin, and Troll McTrollington, Steve W.G.O. Johnson, Alhaj Tepej. One of these days I will learn the proper pronunciation of your name. I figure if I just keep pronouncing it differently every time, one of those times I'll get it right. John Paul Bacon says hello. TJ says, getting ready for Snowmageddon in Michigan. Right on. TJ, you're a moderator. Anybody who's got to deal with Snowmageddon has the kind of stuff it takes to be blue on my channel. freezing cold blue, but blue nonetheless. All right, so what I want to do after I get my drink is I'm going to pull this motherboard out. And to do that, before I take the screws out of the board, what I was starting to do before I was distracted, as I often am, I was just pulling all the wires, all the front umbilicals off, the big 24-pin power connector. I can't get to the 8-pin connector until I pull the heatsink off, and it'll be difficult to pull the heatsink off if I've already removed the motherboard screws, because then there'll be nothing to secure the board. With all that in mind, the order of events is kind of important here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the cooling fan so we have access to the screw underneath of it to remove the cooler, the heatsink part of the cooler. With the heatsink removed, I can then remove the 8-pin EPS power connector, and then I can remove the motherboard and set it aside, and then remove the power supply, set it aside. Repeat that with the Be Quiet Pure Bass 500. I'll bring that out here in a moment. We'll strip it down. These parts will go in it. Those parts will go in here. This machine will go to Valentine. The Be Quiet machine goes to Joey. And then I can work on Bill Bailey's computer back there. And hopefully I'll have 3 computers done. If and when I have time to do the cable management, different story. But cable management's one of those things that I require it to be done. Me personally, I wouldn't send a computer out without it. But it's the last thing. It's not fun for me. It's like, oh gosh, I gotta do the cable management. But when it's done, I'm so glad I did it because it looks so darn good, you know. So oftentimes you'll see I'm very discouraged to do it, especially on camera. Requires, for me, it's sort of mindless. So I prefer to be able to just put some headphones in, listen to some music, and not deal with copyright notifications from YouTube. Yeah, because even with headphones in, I listen loud and the microphone would pick it up and it wouldn't be pretty. But at least that way I enjoy the music while I'm doing the cable management, and it makes it more fun for me. Just trying to lift up on that little fan hanger there, and it's a little tight, so I'll get a little screwdriver to help me out with that. Put that on good, Carey. Wow. Wonder why that was on like that. They're usually not that tough to get off. Okay, and there's our fan. And then I'll grab the scythe screwdriver, which I have a couple spares because I've used those in my own systems. So I have a couple of the scythe drivers here. And Ferris says, is the bark box in the back a random snack box for dogs? Yeah, so there's a company called BarkBox. You know what? I can work and talk at the same time. There's a company called BarkBox, and what they do, you can sign up for a monthly subscription to send treats and toys to your dog. And you tell them if you have a small, medium, or large dog, because the toys, of course, you don't want a big dog choking on a small toy, and you don't want a toy bigger than your dog that your dog can't play with. And then it comes with some treats as well. And because I get so busy, I try and think about, geez, when's the last time I bought something for the dogs? You know, a month can go by when it feels like an hour. The poor dogs are sitting there like, hello, remember me? So the BarkBox makes sure that they have toys coming once a month, and the treats too. And they will disembowel those toys pretty quickly in many cases. And that enables me to take the old gross toys, or broken toys as it were, and throw those in the garbage without feeling bad for the dog that I'm throwing away their toy, because they've got 75 more. You know what I mean? These dogs have a lot of toys. And of course, the older the toy is, the grosser it gets, the more dirty and nasty it gets. Or in the case of many of the new toys, they like to completely disembowel some of them. And then that becomes a dangerous thing if they swallow that stuff. If they swallow the materials, things can get bound up in their stomach or their intestines, or potentially choke. And well, the BarkBox folks do a good job of sending items that are safe. The dogs, they're very clever. They can do things that they shouldn't do, and they don't know better. And for more money, because they have, like any other company, they find ways to nickel and dime you. You can upgrade your BarkBox for super chewers, which are toys that are much harder to destroy. Now, me personally, I find that hilarious, because the regular toys might take my dogs 20 minutes to destroy, and the super chew toys will probably take my dogs 32 minutes to destroy. To me, it's not worth the added cost. So anyway, yeah, that's a BarkBox that arrived today. Every month in the BarkBox, there's a different theme. I really haven't looked at it today, but this BarkBox is called Snowbound Hounds, and this is how it arrived. BarkBox should be sponsoring me. That's an idea. And inside, I don't know, what do we have? Some sort of weird winter butt. I don't know what this is. Jimmy's interested. And there's maybe a snowball. I don't know what that is. Sometimes I don't know what these toys are. They usually explain, like on the inserts, they have a little story that explains. Then you have different treats that are, healthy treats. Snowman peepers is chicken. And then there's another bag that's nose nibbles. They look like little snowman noses made of turkey. Then there's usually one treat. Oh, this one came with two treats. There's one of these chew treats and one of these. Now, this is really intended for one dog, one large dog. And I'm like, you know what? This is enough for two dogs every 30 days. And that's how I do it. And it's probably $250. Whoops, sorry about banging the microphone. It's probably about $250 a year on the large dog BarkBox without any add-ons. But you divide that by 12, so it's like a little more than $20 a month. I can spend $20, $25 a month on my dogs, I think, on top of grooming and dog food. I think they're worth it. So yes, that's what that is. Just barkbox.com. And I don't know where else they ship outside of the USA. Could be many countries, I don't know. I'm gonna get my little doorstop underneath this Lazy Susan to keep it from spinning on me while I'm working on it. That gets really annoying. As handy as it is to spin, it's also really handy to have it not spin. And this is just a regular old doorstop. I got a heavy one from Amazon, and it's listed in my Amazon store in the video notes. If you click on that, you'll find the Lazy Susan, the doorstop, the cooler, the screwdriver, everything I use is in there. So, otherwise, I gotta answer that question 70 million times. Where'd you get that? Where do I get one? What's it called? It's all in the Amazon store. Now, normally I'd say lay the system flat when you do this, but then you guys wouldn't have much to look at if I did. But there will be some parts where I will have to lay the system flat when I'm putting it back together. And if I'm really careful, I won't have to reapply the thermal compound. Not that that's a big deal anyway, it's just, if I'm careful, it's just one less thing I have to do. Now I can reach up here and pull the 8-pin power. And we'll push that back out as well. And I can also remove the rear case fan plug from the motherboard. Now the motherboard's ready to come out. Let me just verify nothing else is attached to it. so I can remove the screws. And when I remove the screws, I want to be careful that I don't, like instinctively I want to start at the bottom and work my way up. But the problem with that logic is when I take the last screw out, the motherboard's going to fall out. So I've got to make the last screw in a convenient place where I can both have my hand on the board and my screwdriver's not interfering. Like if I'm trying to get this screw up in this left corner out, and it's really awkward. So when I think about this, I'll try and keep this middle screw in on the right down here. There's one screw in the middle. I'll keep that one in, and that'll be the last one I remove. If I leave just the bottom one, then the board may start to bend and crack if I don't catch it in time. So again, if you work with the system laying flat instead of upright, this is nothing you need to worry about. It's what's going through my mind as I'm trying to work on it upright like this, which is not natural, but it gives you guys a view. Okay, here we go. Now I can take this final screw out right down here. And I'm holding the board. I don't want to let the board go because it may fall. And I will pull it from the back towards me, and then away, and then straight out. And I'll set it up on the box right here. And you can see my struggle with getting that little screw in straight. You might be able to tell on the solid state drive when I was putting it back in. It looks better on camera than it does in person. It's crooked. It's really crooked. So I want to straighten that right now. It's driving me crazy. It's crazy, I say. Crazy. That's the one thing about these little M2 screws. It's super easy to get them. God, that was easy. It's super simple to get them to go in sideways or crooked. And if you start cranking down, you start tearing the threads up, and then it'll never go in straight ever again. So once I notice that it's going in crooked, if it's secure, I just leave it, because it doesn't have to be perfect. It'll do its job, which is just to hold the drive in. But my OCD, I want that screw flush and straight and flat. And that required either just keep taking it out and putting it back in until it went in straight because of the angle I had to go in to get around the heatsink, or take the heatsink off. And then I thought, if I have to take the heatsink off, let's just change everything. It's not a big deal. And you can see that it took like all of 3 or 4 minutes for me to do that. And then I'll pull the power supply out because I want to keep all the customer's parts that were in his name when he ordered going to that specific customer for all the reasons I already talked about, even though it probably doesn't matter. Parts are parts as far as make and model. If that's what you got, that's what you got. But I'm going to do it anyway. So I tighten these screws down pretty tight on the power supply. Well, that was a lot of work. Did you count how many seconds that took? Super easy. Done. Okay, there's Joey's part. Oh, I need the I/O shield, right? No, it's the same motherboard. I can at least use the same I/O shield, can't I? Yeah, I can. Nobody cares. It's not like an I/O shield's going to go bad. We'll get this out of the way. Ann's PC Repairs contributed $2. Thank you for that. Make sure you're a moderator today. Rich Robbins says, parts are parts. They all take a little chicken parts, make bigger chicken parts to make chicken nuggets. Oh, I thought the chicken nugget was a part of a chicken. Which part of the chicken is the nugget? Jesse Kirk looks like he's, what's he shared a link to here? Oh, the large Lazy Susan. Yeah, $29.99. That's a hell of a deal. 22-inch Lazy Susan. Thank you for sharing the link, Jesse. Randy Ruff has contributed $5. Says, hey, Carey, love your show. I built 2 computers watching your channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Randy. Kathy wants to know, what should I add to an Intel Pentium 4 computer in order to use it for gaming? Your Pentium 4 computer can be used to play all of the games that were available 15 or 20 years ago when that chip came out. If you want to use it for playing modern games today, tear everything out of it and replace everything inside of it. Of course, I'm being a little facetious there. It depends on the games you want to play, but you're not going to find a modern video card that will work in your system. And that, in and of itself, is primarily what you need to play most games. If you limit your game playing to the games that were available at the time your computer was new, it will continue to play those games just as well today. Trying to make your computer do something it was never engineered to do is an effort in futility and frustration. Thomas Robinson has contributed £2. Thank you, Thomas. Bill Carter's contributed $2.99. He says, hi, Carey, Workman's Build. Awesome. Yeah. Is Bill Carter a moderator? He should be. There you go, Bill. What else? We've got 910 people watching live today all over the world. Welcome in, everybody. Carey, your hair was much longer back then. I think I also had more of it, and it wasn't as white. But it beats being dead, so I'm told. Colin Hunt has contributed £5. Thank you, Colin. Glenn Davies says, well, my back was turned. Can you find my contribution and comment, please? Yes. Didn't I already? You sure you didn't hear me? Phil likes bread, contributed £2 and says, buy some pancakes. Pancakes? Do I look like I need pancakes? And John Rice contributed $5. He says, hey, Carey, another 20 from PayPal. With your guidance, I repaired my friend's Dell. Very nice. Thanks, John. And Randall Doms has contributed $2. He says, I love your show and your tools work great. Well, Randall's definitely moderator status. Nick Shaw says £10 is on its way to you, Carey, via PayPal. Nick Shaw is not the same Nick Shaw from D7X. That Nick will come in as D7X on the chat room, so there's no confusion. Thank you, Nick. Let me take a look at what, see if I missed it. I swear I said Glenn Davies' contribution, but maybe it got by me here. Yeah, that's where we talked about generating a log file. That's what you contributed, Glenn. I went on for like 10 minutes about that. Where were you? Thank you for the suggestion and the contribution. Unless there's another one, that's the only one I see. Let me just double check if there was one before that. But that's the latest one. Isn't that weird? Or maybe it's just the delay. Maybe it's the delay from when I speak. Maybe he just hasn't heard it yet. Anyway, I do appreciate all those contributions. Thanks, you guys. Thank you very much. Ron Shadwell says, just sent you a few dollars via PayPal. Enjoy your videos and got both of your Uncle Carey program. Right on, Ron. And you're blue now too, my friend. Thank you so much. The Awaken HD says you look like a Star Wars character. That may be the nicest compliment I've ever received. As long as I'm not a scruffy looking nerf herder, I'll take it. Okay, so let me grab the Be Quiet case, and then we'll rip that apart. And Irving T contributed €5. I'm trying to think of something in French to say to Irving, but I think I know like 5 French words. Bonjour, Irving. Let's see. Qu'est-ce que c'est? No, that's not. Merci beaucoup. See? Got it. Please don't speak back to me in French. I won't have a clue what you're saying. Okay, so this box right here, this is the motherboard box from the Be Quiet case. And I think what I need to do to prevent any confusion is I'll grid a marker and we'll write the name. This is going to Valentine. Valentine. That way I don't get Joey's box mixed up, because there are some different documentation for different parts, even though it's the same motherboard, same processor, same cooler. I even think the same power supply, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. I get so busy, I don't even know what I had for breakfast. Oh, I didn't eat breakfast. Well, that explains that. So what I need to do is I need to separate or segregate Joey's parts because they're the same. I don't want to confuse them and end up putting the same things back in, because that would defeat the purpose of what I'm doing. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's heavy. The Be Quiet Pure Base 500 is a little shorter than a 200R, as you can see here. It's a little wider, it's a little shorter. And it's got no front bays on it, and it's got sound insulation, which really isn't needed. And I put a little note to myself up here on what the parts were. And yeah, it's an H370 HD3, a 9700K processor. I've got Corsair Vengeance memory, so Joey's got some different memory because the Corsair Vengeance wasn't available. It's got an Intel 2 terabyte drive where Joey's got the 1 terabyte, and Joey's got the 665, which is a 660. The Mugen 5 cooler, and the power supply is the EVGA. What I couldn't tell when I wrote my list, because I couldn't remember what was in here, the way the Be Quiet case has this shroud, it covers up the power supply name. So all I know is I have an EVGA power supply in there, but I don't know what model it is. There's no software to run to check. And I have to physically remove the power supply to see what the model number is. So that's one of the downsides about the Pure Base 500 was that shroud. The shrouds are ideal when you have a windowed case that people are going to look in, and they're completely unnecessary and a pain in the butt, in my opinion, when it's a solid case. On, I think the Pure Base 600, I think the shroud is removable, so you can work on it. But in this case, I'm going to have to remove the power supply entirely to be able to see what the make and model is. Or you know what I could do? I could go back to the build video and watch it and see what I put in here. This was intended as a project build to be sold. A customer didn't pay for it, and so that's why I didn't really pay too much attention to what the parts were at that time, because it doesn't belong to anybody. But now it does, so now it's important that I know that the customer is getting what they paid for. Oh, I didn't even tighten those screws. I think I just put the covers on. No? Okay. There it is. So it's exactly the same parts. Obviously, the RAM and the solid-state drive are different, but you can't tell that from just a casual glance. And that's what those parts look like in this case compared to the 200R. 200R is a $75 case. I think Newegg's got it on sale this week for $69.99. The Be Quiet, the Pure Base 500, I think this is $99 without the window and $110 with the window. And I've been told you can buy just the windowed panel if you want to change your mind later on, which is a really good idea from Be Quiet to offer that. Oh, I can kind of read the top of the power supply, but it's a little difficult. Anyway, I like how the screws are captured, so I don't have to put them away versus, the 200R. I have to, well, I keep them in the motherboard box, is what I did, so I don't lose them. And there's some sound dampening material on the inside of these panels from Be Quiet. You'll see there's some material right here. That helps bring the noise down, but again, this is going to be a relatively quiet system. That's what the final cable management looked like. No, I take it back. I didn't cable manage this. That's why that wasn't tightened down. This normally gets tied up, and I know why. The reason I did not cable management and finish it is because nobody ordered it, and I didn't want to permanently leave it in this configuration in case somebody said, hey, I'd like to buy that from you, but I want to put a video card in it, and I want a better power supply. So it would have made no sense for me to do all the cable management with zip ties. What I did do is I ran cable management here through these little Velcro loops, and I never took this wire tie off because I knew this wasn't done and I was going to go back in it. So that kind of sat as a, the closest thing that we could call my Carey pre-built. It was ready to be modified and customized for whoever wanted to buy it. That's what we're doing today because, as I mentioned, that is going to Joey. Joey bought a computer for me 2013, 2014. And he's ready now for an upgrade. And he's going to be using it for business. He's not interested in gaming. What he needs is fast, reliable, quiet. And it needs to be running for many years without any problems because he's going to use it to make some money. In fact, he's been using the one I built him to make him some money. And I think he's got a fan going out. It's making some noise. Speaking of that, Mike Smith reached out to me in email, and he said that he's loving the beast that we built for him. And what was happening with the system from 5 or 6 years ago, whenever it was I built it, is he was getting noise from the fan and the power supply. So he wrote me, it was great. Mike says, Carey, I want you to know that for the first time in 25 years, I have changed a power supply on my own, and it was super easy, and now that older computer is silent again. I was so used to hearing it running with all that noise, and it was so irritating. It brings me such joy to have it to be quiet once again. And he says, and you're going to like this part, he goes, you really should make a video on showing people how easy it is to change a power supply. I said, Mike, 2 days ago, 2 days before you sent this email, I had a gentleman named Martin where he had a bad power supply, and I showed how to remove it and install it, but thank you. But he was so excited that he was able to change his own power supply and bring that old system, make him want to use it again because he was so discouraged by the noise. But it just goes to show you, as an example, that a lot of time, I do this myself, a lot of times we as human beings, we go, oh man, I don't know what to do with that. And then we don't even bother looking. I don't know. And we just live with it day in and day out and day in. I learned this about myself when the sink started to pile with dishes. Every time I walk by the sink, I see dishes. Not every, but I'm saying during this period of time, the dishes weren't getting done. And I'm like, why aren't the dishes getting done? And then I walk by it, and maybe my mind was somewhere else, but the minute I walk by the sink and I see the dishes, I get upset again. Why are the dishes not getting done? And this will go on for however many times I walk back and forth. Every time I walk by it, I'm reminded, there's a big pile of dishes that need to be done. And then suddenly it occurs to me, why don't you do them? And it took all of about 3 minutes to load, to rinse the dishes, put them in the dishwasher. And now I'm happy. It doesn't distract me anymore. I probably spent an hour worth of being upset, walking back and forth and ruining my mood because somebody that was supposed to do the dishes didn't. And I'm like, you know what? Why is that somebody else's job? They're my dishes too. I'll do them. When I have to walk to my mailbox, which is all the way down at the end of the block, sometimes people throw fast food wrappers out of their car. There's cups, there's plastic water bottles, there's booze bottles. And I'll walk by and I'm like, I don't want to live in a garbage dump. Who are these people that just toss trash out of the car? in a residential neighborhood of all places. And I get angry. And then I realize if I just pick the trash up and walk the 20 feet to the garbage can, it's not a big effort. And I don't have to see it anymore, and I don't get upset anymore for 20 seconds of my time. The 20 seconds that the other person could have spent putting it into the same trash can that's right there. So I think Mike did that. I think he heard that fan, and he went, oh, this fan, what am I going to do? I don't know anything about fixing it. I haven't fixed a computer in 25 years. But then when he got the new machine, it didn't matter if he broke the old one. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't as important. It didn't play a critical role. But when it was his only computer, I think the logic was, I don't want to mess with this and make it worse. Then when he got the new one, it was like, well, it's not like I could make it any worse. Who cares? I've already got another better machine anyway. And then realized how inexpensive and simple it was to replace. And so he was ecstatic because he had obviously lived with this, and it had bothered him for so long that when he finally resolved it, he was so happy he had to write that email. I want you to think about that. That's part of the psychology of taking control yourself. You are capable of doing much of this on your own. Samuel Ramos has contributed $5 and says, hey, Carey, here's a little something to help out with the channel. I also purchased the Uncle Carey's Windows 10 NetFix. Thanks for sharing. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you very much. Looks like somebody had hidden a message from Tom Peters that says dishes versus computers. Moderators, please, all of my friends in blue, please do not remove messages unless they are vulgar or are saying, hey, I'm live. Otherwise, please do not remove messages. If you're not certain whether or not it's okay to remove a message and you don't want me to get mad at you and remove your blue status, do nothing. Doing nothing is always fine. But when you sort of overreach your power, then I feel like, somebody shouldn't be blue. They're getting a little power crazy. Sorry to Tom Peters. I'm sorry your message was removed. There was nothing wrong with that. I don't know why the moderator did that. Please, my moderators, please, unless it's vulgar, or if it's, hey, I'm live. In other words, they're trying to pull people out of my channel, then you can go ahead and remove those people or hide them. Otherwise, the best thing you can do is just bring it to my attention. Just say, hey, Carey, this person's leaving some messages. And look, I know you're looking out for me, but what ends up happening is I get emails from people saying, I didn't say anything offensive and somebody blocked me, so I guess you don't want me as your viewer. So then you're not helping me. You know what I mean? So anyway, I know you mean well, but please just dial it back a notch. Luke Greenia says, Carey, I just put the usual $20 in your PayPal. Thank you, Luke. And Jason Baum has contributed $4.99. He says, I bought the NetFix tool for my folks and fixed them right up. Nice. Jai-Test says, my old power supply once sounded like a chainsaw, and after experiencing that, I changed it, and now it's all silent. Was Mike Smith's power supply modular? No, I don't think it was. Mike Nelson says swapping a power supply is a big deal for a non-techie that doesn't build their own PCs. Well, it's a big deal until you do it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It may appear in your imagination to be a big deal, but when you actually settle down to do it, you'll realize very quickly it was no big deal at all. That's what I'm trying to say. Looking at those dishes, I was like, man, that's a lot of dishes. That's a big deal. And then doing them, if I had put a song on, that song wouldn't have reached the end of the song, of one song, and the amount of time it took me to just rinse the dishes and put them away. You know, again, with the trash on the street, the effort that somebody just dropped trash in the street when there's a garbage can 30 feet away, it's not a big deal to take it to the trash can and to show a little consideration for other people. But if I'm the one who has a problem with it, then I'm the one ultimately who should fix it. So if all my neighbors don't have a problem living in a garbage dump and they're totally fine with garbage in the street, and I'm the only one who has a problem with it, instead of getting mad at them, which is pointless, I'll just go out there and pick it up myself. It literally takes moments. And now I don't have anything to be angry about with regards to garbage in the street. Same with the dishes. It doesn't matter whose turn it was to do the dish. If it's bothering me, I'll just take care of it. If your power supply is making noises and it's bothering you, fix it. It's really simple. Now, there's not everything in the world you can fix yourself. You've got to know where your limits are. But I can assure you, all of you, if you can watch a YouTube video and turn a screwdriver, you can change a power supply. And I was very happy for Mike. I was happy that there's some things you just have to experience in life to fully understand. You'll never fully understand what balance is until you attempt to ride a bicycle. You'll never fully understand the definition of the word hot until you burn yourself. Some things in life are indefinable through our communication. There's some things that simply have to be experienced. And through those experiences, we gain knowledge and confidence. And denying yourself those experiences is limiting your growth as a person. You're preventing yourself from having this great feeling of accomplishment. You are preventing your own growth. And because you don't have the experience, you don't realize how much you're limiting yourself, how much you are holding yourself back. So maybe we could say Mike just wasn't ready yet, and that's okay. Maybe you're not ready yet. But when you're ready, I think you're going to find out you probably shouldn't have waited so long. It wasn't necessary. But it's easy to sit back and say that, having not done it. Then once you do it and then compare what your thoughts were before doing it and then what the actual reality was, they very rarely have anything in common. So again, we get back to the psychology of it, which is unfortunate that we live in a culture of a society that we've learned how to reward ourselves for doing nothing. You'd be amazed what you're capable of if you give yourself the chance. Who am I, Tony Robbins? Jeff0000 has contributed £2. He goes, hey, Carey, thanks for so much for all you have done. Thank you, Jeff. Welcome in as another moderator today. It's moderator day today. I love it. Love it. Does the NetFix tool set the network type to private? Yes, it does. It has to be private. It needs to be private. You don't want your public network settings to allow file sharing. Most people don't want that. It does set it to private for that network. The minute, like if you're on a laptop and you connect to another Wi-Fi network, whatever, then it goes back to public again. Or whenever that setting is determining where your computer's plugged in. So as long as your computer's plugged in where you run the NetFix tool, it makes that private. Because why would you be running the NetFix tool in Starbucks on their network unless you were wanting to share things on the Starbucks network that all of the Starbucks customers use? So yes, it sets it to private. Jean-Pierre Van Bison says, Carey, wise words and food advice. That was me, Jean-Pierre, a moderator. There you go. David DeVillers has contributed $5. David says, I pick up trash in my neighborhood all the time. It feels great to do it. Here's some dollars for some trash bags. Peace. Yeah, it doesn't feel good to pick up trash. I feel like I'm not the maid for these slobs, but it is my house and it's my street, and I don't want to live in a garbage dump. And since it's pointless to talk to these dogs because they're just dogs, I shouldn't expect dogs to exhibit behavior that's not dog-like. These people that do this are dogs, and to expect them to behave any more evolved than a dog is unrealistic and unreasonable on my part. So I will go and I will pick it up. And furthermore, I will pick up aluminum cans, and I save all my aluminum cans, and I have a big container, and when I crush the cans to fit more cans in the container, when the container gets filled, I take the container to the aluminum recycling place, and I get like $30, $40. You know how much Coca-Cola I can buy with $30 or $40? And then I can start filling the little bin back up with aluminum cans from Coca-Cola. But I'd say a good 20% of the cans in that big container are from what I pick up along the street. It's free money. I'm going to the recycling center anyway. I don't want to look at the trash, and that trash is money. So yeah, that's weird to me too, that we live in such good economic times that we just don't have homeless people even picking up cans. Not in my neighborhood. They'll stand down in a corner and ask for money everywhere you go, but to actually exert a little effort and pick up some cans and trade that in for money, they can't be bothered. Well, I'll do it. I'm not too proud. I'll take the money if you don't want it. So yeah, it's all the psychology, and that's what I'm sort of that's what I'm dealing with personally and what I've recognized in myself. And I share that with you in hopes it maybe makes a connection, and you're like, I didn't think about it that way. But it's interesting how that changes. You know, I think when I was younger, I didn't care so much. But as somebody who I'm proud of my home, and I invite people over to my home. And if you're coming over to my home and you've got to drive over fast food wrappers and bags and cans and cups, it's kind of like, what kind of neighborhood does Carey live in? You know, how does that make me look? It's, you know, forget about professionalism, forget about business. Let's just talk about, you're just a friend. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't seem very, very welcoming. One moment. Sorry, another package. More parts, because you know I don't have enough. Not enough parts. I don't know what this is. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. It's GTX 1660 Ti. I had a feeling this customer of mine ordered 2 of those. They said they didn't. They said, it looks like you ordered 2 of them. And that looks like either that customer ordered 2 of them, Or there's another customer who ordered one as well, and I'm not remembering it. This is a GeForce GTX 1660 Ti SC Ultra. It's going into a future build, but I think it's an extra one. Okay. Sorry about that interruption. Mike Britton has contributed $10. He says, hello from us down here in God's waiting room. That's Florida. Does anybody know how to get information off of a Mac hard drive with or without a program on Windows? Whew. I certainly don't know anything about Mac, but hopefully somebody in the chat can tell you. Joseph Panariello has contributed $2. Thank you, Joseph. OG Gaming wants to know what I think about graphite thermal pads versus thermal paste. So for about the 9th time, I'll tell you, the graphite thermal pads are really unnecessary. They don't cool as well as thermal paste, but they're more convenient to put on and take off. If you're somebody who's constantly removing your heatsink all the time and you're sick and tired of having to reapply your thermal compound, then those little thermal pads, they're certainly worth maybe the paying 10 times more for that so that you can reuse it over and over again. The cheapest ones I found on Amazon were $9.95. I mean, I can get 4 little containers of Arctic Silver 5 for $5.95. That could be, used on 15 or 20 processors. This is one thermal pad for one CPU that won't cool as well. But again, if you're somebody who's always taking your heatsink on and off, and I know why you'd be doing that, you'd say, wow, having this thermal pad sure does make this a whole lot easier because I just removed the thermal pad and put it back on again. So if you find that to be worth $10 and you don't mind a couple of degrees warmer temperature, have at it. It's not harmful. If you're trying to set any overclocking records, don't buy it because it doesn't cool as well. And if you want to not spend money on things that isn't necessary, save your money, use thermal compound. And just because you take your heatsink off doesn't mean you got to change your thermal compound. I've taken this heatsink off, and as long as I don't touch the thermal compound, and I put the heatsink exactly back on the same CPU that I also didn't touch, and the same orientation, it's all going right back the way it was. I've just temporarily unsquished it. As long as I'm not touching it or contaminating it, I don't have to wipe it and reapply it. But you can if you want to. But yeah, I'm not a fan of those thermal pads. They're solving a problem nobody ever had, as far as I'm concerned. Brad Henderson has contributed $20. Very nice, Brad. Thank you so much for that contribution. "968 people are watching live right now around the world. Welcome in, everybody. Roger Nyrud says, I followed you for many years and you come up with many good statements. Thanks, Roger. Why are you not a moderator? Let's fix that now. Yeah. Moderator day. Ron wants to know, will an Intel CPU with onboard video run 4K content without a video card? No. You can watch, when you bring up 4K content, it's going to automatically reduce to your screen resolution. So YouTube shouldn't even offer you 4K content unless you've got a monitor capable of displaying 4K. And your monitor won't display 4K unless you have a graphics card capable of displaying 4K. And for that, onboard graphics, I don't believe exist for 4K from any manufacturer. I believe you're going to have a discrete graphics card for that, and you're going to have a better monitor for that. You're going to have a good internet connection. 4K is 4 times the bandwidth requirement on a video. So whether or not you notice that, it's really up to you. I've got a 4K camera and I'm broadcasting in 1080, so it wouldn't do you any good here. But Maybe somebody in the chat can append or correct me if I'm wrong. But it's a good question. It's a good question. And I do believe I've answered it correctly, but I don't watch anything in 4K myself, so I don't own any 4K computer monitors. I have 2 4K big screen TVs, but even then I don't really think I watch any 4K content. Geo Johnson says those graphite pads like to slide around a lot, and it's difficult to keep them centered on the CPU when you attach the heatsink. Ramon Rodriguez wants to know, what do you hate more, lowballers or trolls, or are they one of the same? I don't know. What's a lowballer? Is that somebody who just wants to say, here's $20, I'll trade you my $20 for your $100? Trolls are the worst. Trolls are absolutely the worst because I feel bad for them. I feel really sad that in their life they find this to be worthy of their time, their precious time here on earth, that that's their form of entertainment, that they may even laugh at the fact that I think it's sad. That whole sort of, it's a mental illness. I just feel really bad for them. So sometimes it gets frustrating when I found the easiest thing to dealing with trolls is just ignore them. If they don't get attention, they go away. It's part of the illness. OG Gaming says, thank you for explaining it. I got in late to the chat when you were probably explaining the thermal pads versus the... No, when I said I'll say it for like the 8th time, it's because in the last 12 months, this has come up at least that many times. Maybe we'll make a quick tips video on it. But so it helps, right? So if I keep getting the same question over and over, and that tells me that should be a quick tip video. Then the other part I have to figure out is how to get people to watch those videos. Maybe someday I'll just have like a quick sample pad, you know. Oh, there's that question again, push button 7 and have the video play. There's that question again, push button 8 and have that video play. And then I'll have entire videos where all I do is just push buttons to answer questions I've already answered. But that's okay. I mean, how else am I going to know what's on the mind of most people? You know, somebody might ask me some bizarre question that no other viewer has an interest in. It's nothing that needs to be a quick tip, you know what I mean? And then other times, how do I gauge what people want to know? What's on the minds of the viewer commonly? What do they all want to know? So you're helping me when you do it. I just get a little, I don't know. I just kind of feel like, gosh, I've talked about this. How could you not have seen it already? But I guess it's unrealistic to expect everybody to watch all my videos. But again, it's helpful to me to know if I don't have a quick tip on that, I need to make one. Marcus Account says, I just bought your NetFix tool. Right on, Marcus. Thank you. Ben Stroud says, I'm still waiting on you to charge us a monthly membership fee to keep the trolls and lowlives away from your community. So the problem there, Ben, is in order to find other like-minded potential future community members, the videos have to be available for free so people can find them. Then they can decide if they like them, and if so, pay money for membership. So I'm trying to figure that out. I think the best way is to just make the live content for paid viewers only, because that's really where the trolls have the ability to distract me if I'm not very good at ignoring them, and I'm working on that. And then saying if you want to join in the live, like today, you'd have to pay for that instead of making that available to everybody for free. And then once it's done being live and YouTube processes it, then it can be available for everybody. That may be a good balance or counterbalance to that. I haven't quite figured out how I want to do it yet, but I'm leaning in that direction. So the regular videos that are not live would be free all the time, but live videos, when they are live, would be only for paid subscribers, and that would take care of all the trolls. That would instantly solve that problem. But not ready to go there yet. But the more trolls come in, the more they motivate me to do it sooner rather than later. Vern Mahorny says, I just bought the NetFix utility, but I can't see where you download it. So when you buy it, there should be an instant download link that appears right in the browser, right as you buy it. If that does not happen, for whatever reason, you might have an ad blocker that prevented it, or maybe you just didn't see it, reach out to service@d7xtech.com. I'll write it in here, service@d7xtech.com. Why did that not go where I wanted it to go? Service@d7xtech.com. Explain to them that you just bought it and you'll see a download link. They're pretty quick at getting you a response. It shouldn't take you very long to get a response. And they will resolve any issues. Ben says, sounds good about the subscriptions on live content. I'll be on board when you're ready. Thank you, Ben. Al Perez has contributed $5. Thank you to Al. All of my friends in blue. Aaron Armstrong says, my integrated GPU supports 4K at 60 Hertz, and my integrated GPU is the Intel UHD 600. Which CPU is that on? Because I've never seen one that supports 4K on a built-in, on an integrated GPU. Glenn Davey says, maybe we can pay you to keep it free, LOL. No LOL about it. The reason it's free now, remember I said after the first of the year I was going to start charging? There's about 4 people that are in blue that come into this channel regularly that have contributed generous amounts, more so than normal. And it's because of those 4 individuals that it remains free for everybody. Basically, 4 people are paying the ticket price for all of you. Now, in all fairness, there's many of you that make small contributions, $2, $5, $10, and those do add up and those do help. But when somebody steps in and contributes 3 or 4 figures, you know, it's like, holy smokes, that's incredible. And I would feel wrong to accept their contribution and then turn around and charge subscription rates. Because at some point you got to go, how much money does this guy need, right? So what I'm showing people, or what I'm trying to, the way I show my appreciation for those individuals is to continue to do the videos for free and to make sure that those people know that it's because of them that I have not yet started a subscription model. The only alternative to that would be the contributions that I get that are $2, $5, $10, and those are wonderful, but they're still only coming from like 5% of the live viewers. They're not, the vast majority, more than 90%, are watching live and not contributing a penny and never ever do. And that's okay, I'm not complaining about it, but what I'm saying is it's not sustainable. I won't be able to afford to continue to do this as often. More people have to contribute, and if they won't, then I'm forced to sort of say, look, you're going to have to pay for it. The people who are contributing are the ones saying, hey, we don't have a problem paying for a subscription. The ones for free may have a problem with it. And if that's a reason why they leave and never come back, well, I mean, they weren't really helping me, so I'm not really missing anything. On the other hand, You know, if you're a good community member, I hate to lose you. If you're supportive and kind to, it's not hurting me, it's hurting the community when they leave. So I'm really having a tough time with it. I'm really, really having a tough time. And when these generous people make these wonderful contributions, it allows me to postpone that decision that I'm struggling mentally with hurting the wrong people. You know what I mean? Maybe people that can't pay for a number of reasons, and it can price them out, and when they want to participate, and they are good community members. But the system is all controlled through YouTube. You don't get to give somebody a pass. It's not an option. You pay to play or you don't play. And I hate to do that to somebody, to be innocent collateral damage because of the trolls. So for now, it is the contribution of a handful of viewers that are above and beyond what would be considered normal. They're profoundly generous. And they are basically paying for the production of these videos. And they deserve a shout out. It's Peter, it's John, it's Dave, it's Stephen, it's Jesse. I mean, there's so many of you that have shown wonderful generosity, and it's because of these people, and I can't emphasize that enough. These videos would be once a week based on the amount of money YouTube pays me, and I have to go once a week. That's all I could afford. And I would do it because I enjoy it, not because it's generating revenue. And then, of course, the channel won't grow as fast, if at all. And we wouldn't have this wonderful community. So it's really, go back and forth. What's good for the community, what's good for me, what's good for the channel. And I'm trying to find a solution that matches a win-win-win all the way around for everybody, and I've yet to find it. But in the meantime, as long as the generosity of even a small percentage of people continues, it allows me to keep everything the way it is. Carl K. has contributed $5. Thank you, Carl. What is the average amount of time for a beginner to build a PC? There's no average amount of time. It's whatever that person needs. It'd be silly to suggest that the job should be done in a certain amount of time. Enjoy what you do, take your time, enjoy your build. It's done when it's done. Take a break when you need to take a break. Never ever stare at a clock and think you're doing it too slowly. Don't worry about how long it takes. Doesn't matter. Ben Stroud says, wow, 2 viewers have the nerve to call me a lowlife and a troll. I don't think so. So Ben, multiply that times 10,000 and have it occur to you every day, and then tell me how my shoes feel. This is why I talk about it. I want you to know, most YouTube content creators, they don't show this side. They think it's unprofessional or they think it's not appropriate. But I want you to know I'm battling people that are attacking me constantly. And it's with your help when I turn you blue that you can help remove that burden from me and help me to focus and concentrate on the content of the video. And now that you got a small taste of it, I hope that you have some understanding and empathy to why I keep talking about it, because it never stops. It'll never go away. And that's why if we go to a paid subscription on the live stuff, we just never have to deal with it again. But again, the collateral damage to that are many people who've said in the chat they can't pay for numerous reasons. They can't. And they're good members of the community. And what a shame to punish them. So I'm still working on a solution for that. But welcome to the club. Geo Johnson said, I did my first build on a Sunday afternoon while taking my time. And how long did it take you? You know, different builds take different amounts of time depending on how complex it is and how many parts are involved. Technologic says you can't see the likes and dislikes. Really? I was just looking at a video. I can see all the likes and dislikes. What are you talking about? Was it Instagram that did that? Instagram took away the likes. Ian Troop says, I am 76 years old and I still enjoy building PCs. Cody Ward said, Carey, you're an awesome YouTube creator. I love watching your videos. Thank you, Cody. Flattery will get you everywhere. So Dravko says, Carey, how about you decide how much a month you need to donate to normal work? Not sure I understand that. David said he's 77 years old and he feels the same way about building PCs. He loves it. Right on, guys. Your setting for like or dislike counts are disabled. No, they're not. Maybe on the live videos they're not offered. Maybe that's what you're talking about. But on my regular videos, they're there. I can see them. Let me see the options on today's stream. Because I know I can turn it off, but I never intentionally turned it off. Make video statistics on the watch page publicly visible. Yes. Allow comments. Yes. Yeah, I don't even see an option to turn on likes or dislikes on this live feed. So maybe something YouTube has removed from live feeds? I don't know. Everything looks like it's selected correctly. Not sure why that is. But I definitely see likes. I can still hit like on the Build a Portable LAN Gaming PC link I sent earlier in the chat. That has likes and dislikes. They're not disabled. So, not sure what to tell you guys. I wonder if I can bring this video up. With a different link and see if it'll show me. So there's still a like and dislike that I see, but not showing me how many of one or the other. but you can still like or dislike it. It just doesn't show you the count on this live video, but it does on all my other videos. Because maybe that's something, I don't know. I have no idea. I have to look into that. So thanks for bringing it to my attention. I can't do anything about it right now. I'm not sure if that's on YouTube or if there's a setting somewhere, but I've just checked the settings and I don't see it. The number counter may be removed new for this year. Maybe, or maybe they've changed a setting somewhere. I don't know. Carey, if you were able to do YouTube full-time, would you miss your technician job? Yes, I have to work as a tech. I have to. Otherwise, I'll just become a hobbyist and enthusiast, which would make me pretty much like every other YouTube tech channel. There's a handful of YouTube tech channels that are run by working technicians. Tim's Computer Repair, the guy who does the Apple repairs, he's a real working tech. So I think we're few and far between. I don't want to be one of those tech enthusiasts who doesn't have any real work experience current. I don't want to say I used to be a tech 2 years ago or 10 years ago, and therefore I'm a tech today. It doesn't work like that. This technology moves very, very quickly. If you're out of the business, if you're not working for customers in 12 months, you haven't done any jobs, you're no longer a professional technician. You're now a hobbyist, because everything changes that rapidly. You'll be out of touch with what's happening in the industry and what's happening with consumers. You won't think you are, but you are. So I don't want to become that hobbyist. I always want to be bringing to my YouTube channel something you can't get anywhere else, or something that's not so easily found, which is real practical, from the trenches experience. It's very important to me. What brands of router do you like? I like ASUS routers and Netgear routers for home use, and Ubiquity for businesses large enough to, require that. Or Cisco. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. So all my clients now are small businesses, and we run off Netgear or ASUS routers. Trend Micro, TP-Link also has some good routers as well. Jim Innes has contributed $5. He says, Carey, is it common to disable the chip's graphics when a good graphics card is installed, or just leave them in tandem? Whatever you want to do. If you want to hook up multiple monitors like in a business scenario, you can use both cards. If you don't like the idea that some RAM is being shared and you'd like it back, because even though you're probably not using it in reality either way, you can go in your BIOS and flip it to disabled, and if you change your mind, just flip it back on. It's no big deal. So there's no harm either way, really. Probably won't make any noticeable difference to an end user in performance or reliability or anything. It's there if you want it. You can disable it, you can re-enable it, you can leave it alone. No right or wrong. Come on, cool a CPU using liquid nitrogen for the heck of it. Yeah, enough people do that already. I actually have work to do. Are you getting any new customers who did not upgrade to Windows 10 and are now in a hurry to do so? Yes. And because I'm an honest guy, I just tell them, do a Google search for the Windows Media Creation tool, download it, and follow the on-screen prompts. And you don't have to pay me to do it. This is something you can do yourself. And if you run into any problems, give me a call. And the customers are usually very appreciative of that. They're like, oh, thank you so much, And I tell them, if you don't want to do it, you can pay me to do it. But you could do it yourself for free. That's usually what I'm telling. That is what I am, not usually, that is what I am telling the customers that are calling me now. because they're getting those notifications. So now they're taking it seriously. Mikhail Spangard has contributed 45 Danish krona. He says, I have built both an AMD gaming and an Intel gaming PC by learning from your videos. Nice, Michael, and we'll make you a moderator here too. Thank you for your contribution. David Griswold said he's 57 years old and getting ready to build his third system. Right on. Customer emailed me the other day and said, we need you to come out and repair one of our systems that won't boot anymore. And I said, well, what's it doing? And she says, let me take a little video of it with my phone and send it to you. Which was a great idea. I didn't even suggest it. She came up with this idea all on her own. And I see it says starting DR DOS, something like that. And then it's like, and I'm like, well, it looks like the computer's booting from either a CD or DVD or a USB device. So make sure there's no USB flash drives plugged in, and make sure the CD or DVD drive tray is empty. She emailed me back, you fixed it, thank you. Glad I can help. Sometimes, people panic. They don't realize that they've added something to the computer that's causing their problem. And that's okay, and I don't charge for that. I'm just like, call me next time when you have another problem. Be glad to help you with that one too. I was gonna refill my Coke, but I think it's time for a little bottle. That's what I need, a little bottle of Coke. I haven't had one of these in forever. I just like the way they look on camera. They're just prettier. Bottle opener. This is the other reason I don't like going live when I've got work to do. The work doesn't get done. It's like a big water cooler. We're all hanging around. Nobody's working. Thomas Young's contributed $5. He goes, I watch your YouTube channel and I learn, and learn I am pursuing my, oh gosh, I got to start this one all over again. Hold on, I'm reading the tonality incorrectly. Thomas says, I watch your YouTube channel and learn. I am pursuing my CompTIA certifications. Thank you. This is such an important channel. Right on, Thomas. Thank you. Glad that you find them of value. Rain One Full says, I bet that was the fastest repair you ever did. No, today I had a phone call from a customer. Said my email's not working. It says that too many people tried to log into my account and my account has been disabled. And to click the box that says I am not a robot to continue, but I don't have a box on my screen that says I am not a robot. So what do I do? So I called the customer back and I said, well, let me log in remotely and see your screen. She goes, hold on, I gotta go turn the computer back on. She turns the computer back on and then she goes into the email while I'm waiting for her to just let me in the computer remotely. And she goes, well, my email's working now. And I said, well, sometimes it helps to, next time you have a problem, restart the computer before you call me. And she goes, no, I did that. I restarted it twice, and it just kept telling me the same thing. I don't know why it's working now. Maybe it's just because you're on the phone. I'm like, okay, well, glad I could help you. Have a nice day. And that was pretty easy. And that happens quite a bit, where somebody will call you, and they can't replicate the problem once I'm on the phone. And that doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, great. Then I don't have any work to do. Wonderful. Sometimes they're like, people are, oh, I'm so sorry to bother you. No, that didn't bother me. What bothers me is when you give me a really difficult problem I can't figure out. That bothers me. Anything simple, well, I'll take that all day. Rick R. has contributed $20. He says, I love Acronis. It's a great product, and here's a little back for the discount you were able to extend to us. Thanks for what you do. Oh, that's very nice of you, Rick. Thank you. I'm glad you took advantage of it. It's no secret. I love the Acronis software, and I've been using it for over 10 years. And they don't sponsor me in any way, but they do cooperate with me on video content. You know, allowing for somebody to come on and allow me to interview them, and they flew me out to Florida for their inaugural cyber summit. That was really nice of them to do that. So it's really nice when you like somebody and they like you back. You know what I mean? That's what it kind of feels like. Kelly McLaughlin has contributed $5. Says, here's to my fellow working stiff. The next Coke is on me, sir. Right on, Kelly. Thank you. Make sure Kelly's a moderator in here. There we go. Kevin Smith says, Carey, how did you react when you first noticed your YouTube channel was blowing up and getting views? That's never happened. My YouTube channel has never blown up. I'm still waiting. It's ticking. Nothing's happening. The growth in my YouTube channel has happened very slowly over the course of the last 12, however many years it's been. It's not an overnight success. I've never had a viral video. Some videos get slightly more popular, but nothing has blown up, ever. It's just never happened. So I'll let you know when it happens. Freddie Hendricks has contributed $5. Hey, thank you, Freddie. Yeah, I've got videos. My most popular video is like 2.1 million views. And PewDiePie will make a video, or Logan Paul will make a video, or Lily Singh will make a video, and 4 hours later it's at 1.2 million views. You know what I mean? So for me, it's taken years. And out of over 1,000 videos, I only have 4. Over all these years, there are only 4 videos that have exceeded 1 million views in total over that current amount of time. Nothing has gone viral. Nothing has exploded. Jeremy Kramer's contributed $5. Says, keep up the good work, Carey. What, if any, are a good measure to diagnose and quickly fix Windows 10 blue screening issues? And have a Coke on me. Jeremy, the first thing to check is RAM. Check your RAM. Run the mem test. I have a quick tips video on mem test. Check that RAM. Nick Boverman says, I want to bet with a guy I know who works for Best Buy. I wonder how many sentences begin that way. Probably more than you could imagine. Not to insult people at Best Buy. I'm sure they're nice people, but if they were really super knowledgeable, they wouldn't be working at Best Buy. I'm just saying. He said he couldn't upgrade to Windows 10 for free anymore from Windows 7. I proved him wrong. I'm now $100 richer. Nice. Silly. Alan Forbes has contributed $10. He says, Carey, I am about to build my first PC after a year and a half of watching and learning from you on your channel. Thank you. Alan, it's about time. Year and a half? Come on, man. What you waiting on? Chop, chop. You know, Catherine Anna Hauserman, she's a person in blue here in the chat. I don't see her today, but she's frequently in there. And if you're on the fence about what parts go with which parts or whatever, she will help you with that for free. Once you have all the right parts, it's just like putting together Legos. It's super, super easy. Take your time and enjoy your build. And if you get stuck on something, come on into one of my live chats. You can ask me or ask the community, and there are people that are very kind and will help you. But I bet you won't need any help. I bet you're going to go, wow, this is exactly like these repetitive videos I've been watching for the last year and a half from Carey. I think you're going to realize, like Mike Smith on his power supply, this is something you could have done a year ago. However, I'm glad you are going to do it. And let us know how it turns out and what you think of the end result and whether or not what I'm saying is true. Roger says, it's a shame no videos have gone viral. Well, that's okay, Roger. You know, clearly the videos, sorry, some stuff going on in the chat. Guys, so there's a little debate going on here. I don't have time to look into what's going on over here, so I'm going to ask everybody to get along. I'm going to once again ask my mods, do not hide or ban anybody unless they're, listen very carefully, unless they're being vulgar or they're trying to pull people away from my channel. If they're just talking smack about you, just ignore them. Just ignore them. Don't feed the trolls. Some people just don't get along. And I know it's instinctive to want to defend yourself. I get it. But I need everybody to just relax. You know, just relax. Don't let them get to you. When you let somebody get to you, you might as well tie strings on your hands and let them control you. You're allowing them to control you. You are voluntarily consenting to allowing that person to control you. So I'm asking you to be aware of that and don't allow other people to control you. And so if somebody's just being a jerk, ignore them. The more you sort of stoke at the fire, the more the fire grows. Walk away from the fire, it'll just burn itself out. Okay, guys? We're a community here. We're all a community. So if you can't get along, just go to separate sides of the room. Come on, we're adults. Let's do this. And more importantly, maybe you can find something you both agree on. Just change the subject to something else. Maybe you can flip that 180 degrees and actually like each other. But, you know, at the very least, you can ignore each other. But yes, if you see somebody being vulgar, or if you see somebody saying, you know, I'm live, or come to my channel, you can ban those people. Please do. Thomas Robinson's contributed £2. He goes, I got a computer tech diploma and I'm still learning. What is a computer tech diploma? I've never heard of such a thing. And I don't mean that with disrespect. I sincerely have never heard of such a thing. Freddie Hendricks says, I built a computer 8 years ago and 3 days ago I built another. Watching your videos helped me a lot, catching up on recent technology. Thank you, Carey. Right on, Freddie. That's cool. Forrest Johnson says, Best Buy is okay. Sometimes you get intelligent workers and sometimes you get those that are not so smart. And that's true, and I can explain that because I used to work there. Best Buy is a great place. If you're just starting out as a tech and nobody will hire you, Best Buy will probably hire you. They're not going to pay you very well. The hours are going to suck. The job is going to suck. But you're going to get wonderful on-the-job training, and it'll come at the customer's expense. It won't come at Best Buy's expense. It will come at your expense. It comes at the customer's expense. And as you get better, you'll say eventually to Best Buy, I'm worth more money now. Best Buy will say, no, you're not. And then you'll say, buy Best Buy, and then that's what, you'll put the buy in Best Buy. And then you will go somewhere where they will hire you and pay you better and give you a better job, where they will respect you better and value you better. And then the whole cycle starts again for the person who replaces you at Best Buy. So Best Buy isn't interested in hiring the most intelligent, most qualified techs in the sense of capabilities. The most qualified tech is the one who creates the most profit for them. So the less they can pay you, the more profit. And the less experience you have, the more you're willing to accept less in order to get the opportunity. This comes at the expense of the customer, where it's not uncommon for customers to have to return their machines back to Best Buy because it wasn't fixed right the first time. And it's not uncommon to have to wait weeks to get your computer back, only to find out it's still not right. So you can go to Best Buy and you can meet with the person that's been there for a while and they've already had this behind them and they're pretty good. The problem is you're unlikely to see them again in the future because they will have left by then. So in other words, the odds of you finding somebody like that are pretty low. And then when it does happen, the odds of them still being there when you come back later and need them again, they probably won't be there. I can tell you that from real life experience. And it seems to have only gotten worse. I think Office Max and Staples, I think they're the same company now, just settled us. They got fined by the Federal Trade Commission $5 or $10 million for ripping off their customers with fake virus warnings. They had to pay that fine. It was pretty significant. And as a tech, if you worked for them, you did what you're told or you're going to lose your job. So it took somebody to be a whistleblower and make the media aware of it. And I did a whole thing on this about 2 years ago. I talked about it. They just had to pay that fine, I think, within the last few months. Carey, when are you having a cheeseburger with that Coke? If there's anything you need to know about me is that I'm a fussy eater. And I don't want cheese and meat touching each other, unless maybe it's a pizza. No cheeseburgers for me. Ever. Keith Davies has contributed 5 pounds. Hey, thank you, Keith. Yeah, I don't like my foods touching. I'm like a 2-year-old. I know I am. It's all right. I accept it. Can I get back to work, please? All right, so I want to do the same process here. I need to take the heat sink off, even though in this case, I can reach and I can pull that because it's taller on the Be Quiet Pure Base 500. I'll be back in the situation where I can't plug it back on when I go to put this in the 200R. So I might as well just take it off now. I wonder if this screwdriver will reach to take the screws out. Ooh, look at this. Oh, I better take the fan off first. I want to remind you, this doesn't make any sense to work on a computer standing upright like this is. Normally, I would be laying this computer flat and working with gravity instead of messing about with it like I am. But the reason I do this is so you guys can watch, right? I suppose if I had cameras in my ceiling, you can just point it down. But I don't. So if you're going to follow along with me, lay your case flat. Don't do it the way I'm doing it here, because you don't need to. I do. That fan, and then we'll crank this setting up and we'll take these screws out. It's okay to use an electric driver it's always okay when you're taking screws out. It's putting them in that you want to use the manual driver. Super easy. So I want to make sure that this heatsink and fan stays with that motherboard if I don't want to have to reapply thermal compound. It's already matched with that. So I'll put it over here. So that's going to be for Valentine. I will say that the Be Quiet Pure Base 500 is a really nice case. Where I ran into issues with it was when I was adding the liquid cooler. And ultimately, it all turned out perfect. I struggled a lot with it because I was trying to do things that I'm familiar with in cases that work with other cases, you know, and it wasn't working with the Be Quiet Pure Bass 500. I was getting angry. When I'm not dealing with any RGB lighting or liquid coolers, when it's a business class case, this is really nice. In fact, because it's sound insulated, I'm thinking of moving the streaming computer into one of these. My only concern is the added weight, because I do have to move the streaming computer around quite a bit. Since I'm broadcasting in my kitchen, I still have to use my kitchen when I'm not filming. And it is quite a bit heavier, but the more I use it, the more I like it, the Be Quiet Pure Bass 500. Now, I'll be building in the Pure Bass 600, which is a little bit taller, and it has front bays. And I would like to have more than 2 USB ports up front. And I won't be able to do that on this case unless I put like a USB hub in here, and then that'll have to be powered to work the way I need it to work, and then that's another cable, and it just looks ugly, and it's one thing to get knocked off onto the floor. So maybe a Pure Bass 600, if it's not too big or too heavy, I might move away from the 200R just to help reduce noise. But I do like the look of it, and I like how solid and well built it is. But definitely putting a liquid cooler into this case is not ideal. The Pure Bass 600 and above would be a much better choice for that. It's doable, as I proved. All right, let's get this power supply out of here. So the power supply is in a frame. And then the whole thing slides out. And that is one thing I don't like about this case, is that the shroud doesn't come out. I think on the Pure Bass 600 it does. I'll verify that when I get there, but that's kind of a deal killer for me. I'm just realizing now, because it makes it difficult when you want to do, well, if you've got a modular power supply, it makes it difficult to add or remove any cables. On a non-modular power supply, which is why I put it in here to begin with, it's fine, except I couldn't read the make and model of the power supply. And yeah, you know what? It's the exact same make and model power supply, which is brand new, and Joey's is brand new, but it's my OCD. Joey's got to have Joey's parts, so we're going to switch it out. And again, it's very simple and fast. And I got to say, guys, without viewers that are also customers, people like Joey, this Joey system, Bill Bailey, the system behind, Valentine, these guys are what's creating the content. A lot of the content is what you're watching, actual customer orders being built. And so, of course, I want you to be aware that these parts are being paid for by customers, not from sponsors. I didn't buy them. This is all provided by customers, going to go to a customer and used by a customer, and is, anytime they have a problem, they're going to be calling me. And most other YouTube channels, when they build computers, they're building them for themselves or a friend. There's no real accountability where they're going to get a call at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday. It says the computer won't start. And whatever you're doing, stop and help me now, because that's what I paid you for. And that does mean that when I build, I try to do everything I can to take a little extra time to ensure that I'm putting it together exactly right and reducing the odds of the customer having to need to call me. Not that I don't like hearing from them, but it is an interruption. It's not like I'm sitting around looking at my phone. Ring, damn it. Ring. No, I'm busy doing other things. So when I get pulled backwards into a project I've already completed because something's not right, then something else has to wait. And that's a very important consideration in the content that you watch on YouTube, because if I'm building something like Threadripper's sitting in my office, I don't even use it. Why? It's a hassle. Right now, my issue is it's noisy. And you want to hear something crazy? I looked up the fastest Threadripper processor that is compatible with the motherboard. It's, oh gosh, what is it? I gotta look it up. Hang in there for a minute. I can't access it here. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you what it is. Then I'm gonna tell you why, and that's when you're gonna realize I'm crazy. Threadripper sits back here as a community-supported build, as a fun project just for the sake of doing it. RGB, you know, just over-the-top ridiculous $4,000 computer. And it's so freaking loud. And it was blue screening and unreliable, and I was really losing my patience with it. That could put somebody like me out of business if that belonged to a customer. And the customer will be ticked off. So on my wish list, I've got a production equipment wanted wish list on Amazon that shows the kind of things that that I can use for my channel. And I added it to the production wish list, and it's an AMD Threadripper 2990WX processor. It's the 32 cores, 64 threads, 4.2 gig max boost. It's got a max temperature of 68 Celsius, which is, wow, it's pretty low. I think it would overheat pretty easy. 80 megs of cache memory. It's got a base clock of 3 gigahertz. Anyway, that is $1,550 for that CPU. $1,550. I could take the current CPU out, which is what, I think a 1950 or something like that. I can't remember what we put in there. I could take that CPU out and upgrade it to the latest, most powerful CPU that motherboard will accept. And that's, I gotta go look. It's an X399, where is it? Yeah, it's a Gigabyte X399 Aorus Gaming 7 motherboard. And if you look at the CPU support list, that is the fastest Threadripper available that'll work in that board. And I thought it might be a fun video to just replace the CPU. I don't know what I would do with the old CPU. Just to say, there, that's as good as this system can ever be. Just to say, there it is. It's all the power that this motherboard could ever handle. Fill in all the RAM sockets so there's no empty ones. We got 4 RAM modules in it now. Pull those 4 out, replace it with 8. Just jam it full, completely full, and go, there it is. I still won't use it. That's why it's crazy. I mean, I'd like to start using it, but until I can get the noise issue isolated, it could be coming from the graphics card or it could be coming from the liquid cooler. I don't want to change the liquid cooler for an air cooler because it's got a glass window and the whole point was RGB, and look at it's pretty. So it's going to be really pretty and it's going to be really powerful, and I'm not going to use it. So that's a good investment of $1,550, right? But then I think if I did use it, I bet it would be really, really fast when I edit videos. So I put that on the back burner, so if some crazy amount of contributions come in and I'm like, how can I use this money? I think I'll do that. I think I'll buy that and swap it out. And what do I do with the old chip? I don't know. Maybe I list it for sale and somebody just wants to buy the chip. But that's a scary thing to do, because if somebody gets that chip and swaps it or damages it, and then they go, well, you sent me a bad CPU. You'd have to record the serial number, you'd have to take a lot of documentation, or you'd have to sell it to somebody you trust that isn't going to try and pull a scam on you. Or I just keep it as like background trinkets to look at, which seems like a waste. But I just thought that would be fun, just for fun, just take it apart. But it's expensive to have fun, or it can be. So anyway, I don't know why my mind even thought about it, but I actually did the research on it. I'm looking it up, and I'm looking up the prices. And I was debating, just throw this idea out. And I'm like, no, you know what? I'll put it on the production wish list, and if somebody buys it and sends it to me, I'll use it. If not, if a lot of contributions come in to a point where I'm like, what do I do? I'll do that. Okay, so here's Joey's power supply. Sharon says, Wonder Woman wants to send you a red or a pink external USB hub. I don't want, maybe you didn't hear me. I appreciate the offer. I don't want an external USB hub. I want it internal. Because I have the dogs, they can knock things over. And the external hub would need to have power, or some of the things I want to plug into it won't work. And I don't want to have to reach around to the back of the case, especially when I'm live. I want to just, the streaming computer is right there. I can just bend over and plug things into it. And having two USB ports is not good, because when I have the keyboard and mouse dongle plugged into the back, sometimes they don't work quite right. Like it's just a little too far away. And when I plug them in the front, and then I plug like a USB flash drive into the other one in the front, it hesitates and slows down. The USB channel can only operate one at a time, so they keep hesitating and pausing. And it results in me being impatient and going, come on, let's go, 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 go. So I need a separate USB channel up there. Valentine, there's your board. And Joey, we can put your board in here now. So we're going to lay this flat. We'll grab Joey's board right here. Set that in there. We'll line up that I/O shield. Got a Gotta watch that grounding strap, make sure that I don't get it bent down and cover up the port there. Everything looks good. And we secure the board back into place. Whoops, that screw was way too long. Hold on. That was a power supply screw, Carey. What are you doing? So these 4 screws go to the power supply in the other case. These 5 screws go to the motherboard for the other case. What did I just do with the 5 screws I took out? Didn't I just set them right here? Where did they go? Oh. This case uses the power supply screws. What happens when I'm not paying attention? I'm talking too much and not paying attention. Be quiet screws are different from the Corsair screws. Be quiet's just using the standard black hex head screws that are common on, typically would hold case panels on. If you don't have the thumb screws, you know, before the thumb screws, this was the common type of screw that was used. And I was slightly confused for a moment, but that's just me being me, isn't it? Chillrad says the 2990WX has memory allocation issues due to certain cores not having direct access to the RAM. Probably better off with a 2950X. Should be just as fast. Well, there is probably truth in that. So Robert Cronin is one of my mods, and he is not listening to me, and I'm about to remove his blue status. So if I've turned you blue, I've done it because I trust you. And I'm going to say this again, if you're blue and somebody is being vulgar or somebody is encouraging people to go to their channel, to leave this channel, you may hide them or remove them. Otherwise, do nothing. So I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to start removing abusive people that are blue. You're supposed to be looking out for me, not causing me harm. Because somebody puts a smiley face in chat, that's not vulgar. There's no reason for you to do that. Maybe you made a mistake. I need you to be more careful. And I'm going to be done warning my friends in blue, because if you're not listening to me, you're not my friend. So please, please, if you're not sure, then do nothing. Don't hide people or put people in timeout unless they're being vulgar or they're saying, hey, I'm live, come to my channel. Those people, knock yourself out. Otherwise, you're abusing your power. And I can't. This is a supportive community, and you need, if you're in blue, I need you to lead by example. I need you to be somebody, everybody, the other people non-blue understand what it is to be blue. And it's not about excessive force. So please, I'm asking you. You have way too many mods. I disagree. I don't have anywhere near enough mods. when all the mods are on the same page and we're all here in a supportive community, I want this entire chat room to be blue, including you. But if we have a mod that isn't going to listen, then they won't be a mod much longer. But sometimes people make mistakes. It may have been an accident. So yeah, we were talking about the 2990WX, and then of course the 2950. And I was going to look up, I remember, that's what I was doing before I got distracted there. I was going to look up what we ended up putting in Threadripper. I can't remember which chip we used. 1950X is what we used. Carey says, when everyone is a mod, who mods the mods? I do. Because it's my channel they are protecting, or it's my channel they are damaging. So it's in my best interest to self-preserve and make sure that we're all on the same page. And like I said, sometimes people make mistakes. If you're a mod, I always give you the benefit of the doubt first. If I have to say it again, well, then I'll be just as sad to lose a mod too, you know. The great thing about being blue, and I want to emphasize this, you're not obligated to do anything. If you just do nothing, you will stay blue forever. And if you overreact or abuse your power, you will likely be stripped of your blue status pretty darn quick. If you're truly a friend of the channel, you will not cause damage to the channel. For any reason. Ever. Looking good here, Joey. It's looking good, my friend. I'm going to lay the case flat so I can put the heatsink back on it. Again, it's not necessary to reapply the thermal compound because I have not touched the CPU. I have not touched the bottom of the heatsink, so I have not touched the thermal compound or contaminated it. It's fresh. It was just put on a couple days ago. And it's going on the same heatsink is going on the same CPU and the same orientation, so we don't have to worry about unlevel or unequal coverage of the thermal material. Simply removing a heat sink doesn't cause any damage to the thermal material, because that's how it was. And when you put it back, you're putting it back exactly the way it was. This is probably maybe a 20, 30-minute job, but because I keep talking and getting distracted in the chat, it's taken me 2.5 hours. That's all right. My boss is cool. Trying to figure out why that's flipped the other way. The cable goes 2 different directions there. Looks good. Need my flashlight and glasses to see those front port headers. Let's see, this case only has a power switch and power LED. There's no reset switch, and there is no hard drive LED, which is something I do not like about this case. I'm okay without the reset switch, but I am not okay without the hard drive LED. And yes, I could plug the power LED into the hard drive spot, but I don't want to do that. I want both. Well, that should be all we need to do. We should be able to test fire this, and it should boot right up into Windows exactly the way we had it configured yesterday in the other case. And then I can repeat this process by putting that motherboard and power supply back in the 200R. But let's make sure I haven't broken anything or forgotten anything, and the only way to know for sure is plug it in and turn it on. So we'll plug in your monitor. Yes, you at home. I'm going to plug your monitor in. So I can borrow it for a moment, and I need to plug in power and a keyboard and a mouse. So a keyboard and a mouse I've got right here. Turn them on. I always turn them off to save the battery on them, even though it's a rechargeable battery. Seems like I got to charge it about once every 5 or 6 months. That's how long the charge lasts. It's like quite a while, isn't it? It's impressive. Flip the switch to on. And hit the power switch. Fans are turning. Let's go to video input number 2. And hopefully it boots right into Windows without a problem. Power LED has come on, and obviously the switch works, so I got the cables in the right place. And we're in Windows. Computer doesn't even know it's in a different house. Doesn't even know. And just for fun, we'll run the benchmark. It's kind of funny this is in a be quiet case, and it doesn't need to be because the system is absolutely dead silent. What are you doing, Lyle? So while that test is running, let me flip you back over to camera 1, and we'll give the dogs a little love right now because they seem to think that it's time for something. Oh, it is close to dinner time, isn't it? It's 10 minutes away. You want your dinner? Yeah, it's time for dinner. What about you, Lyle? You hungry? That's the look I get. Oh. Hold on, I turned the camera too fast. Are you hungry? Yeah? Is it time for some dinner? Okay, let's get you some food. You tapping your toes? Tap, tap. Tap them some more. Tap, tap. Okay. You ready? You know what's for dinner today? Dog food. There you go. Dog food is my favorite. There you go, boy. What about you, Jimmy Jimmy? You hungry? You ready for your dinner? There you go, boy. All right, well, they didn't put on a show as I was hoping, but that's all right. Now you can hear them sifting through their food. Test is still running. So yeah, see if I've missed any other. Oh, it looks like a couple contributions came in. Let's see what we got going on here. Steve Caruso's contributed $25. Hey, thanks, Steve. He says, have a pizza and a Coke on me, and to your videos going viral someday. Mods, let's all get along. Agreed. Hugh Wong has contributed $5. Try Servo Nidic Gentle Typhoon 120mm Noctua NFA 12x24mm Threadripper machine. It'll be quiet and high airflow. Yeah, I just don't know if it's the fans on the graphics card. Paul 80s ruled. I agree, the 80s did rule. Contributed $10. He says, I'm celebrating Moderator Day. I love to see the community grow. Thank you, Paul. Wonder Woman has contributed $1. Keith Davies has contributed £5. Thanks, you guys. Thank you for your contributions. Bro Feets contributed $2. Says, keep up the good work. Ben Stroud has contributed $2. He says, I learned my lesson today not to let others get to me. It's tough, man. I let others get to me sometimes. I still do. But all you can do is just do your best, man. Just do your best. Thank you. It's time for our cookies. You guys ready for cookies? Oh, I think they're ready for cookies. We're going to get some cookies. Let's see if we can get some cookies. Let's go down here. You guys want some cookies? You're staring at the cookie jar, Lyle? What about you, Jimmy? Oh, he's a good boy. That's a good boy. Oh, don't knock my microphone loose. Oh, the magic sound of cookies. All right, come here. You keep hitting my microphone. Stay. Sit. Hey, hold on. I want to make sure you're in the camera. Sit. Thanks. What is it with you and my microphone? You want to say something? Yeah, give me the damn cookie. Okay. Wait a minute. I got to put my microphone back. Because somebody knocked it off. You are a good boy. You're a good boy. No, no. Hold on. Wait. You. All right. You're such a good boy. There you go. Little monsters. I think that test is probably done by now. What do you think? Yep. Pretty much the same results we got before. I'd say that works. Shut that down. That was quick. And then we'll go back over to, I'll unplug all this stuff. And we'll put this other motherboard back into the 200R case. So for now, what I'm going to do is just grab all these cables and shove them down in here, because I still have to configure this later for Valentine. But in order to clear some workspace, wait a minute, I don't have front port audio on here? Where's my front port audio cable at? How did I miss that? Front port audio is here. Where's it going? It goes here. Oh, I see. I never hooked it up. Well, that explains that mystery. Let's go right down through here and right up through there. I need the flashlight again so I can see. Okay, now it's good. And I'll just put the panels on it so it all stays together. Tripping over my cables. And I will put this away so when I'm done with these other two systems, we can finish up Valentine's next week, I think. Because most of the work's already done. Be putting, let me think about this. This is Joey's, not Valentine's. This is Joey's. So I have to get this finished up for Joey. Valentine's getting the 200R. That's where I'm confused. So I'm going to set this aside either way because I need to clear some space. And it's in my way for right now. So for this to be finished up for Joey, it's mostly just cable management. I think it's all the hardware he wants is already in here now. Let me just put this back over here where it was. And then I have that piece that goes on the top that had the little note on it with all the parts listings. That's no longer valid because those parts are now out. So I'll leave that little note over here that'll go on Valentine's machine. Okay, 200R right here. You thirsty? Power supply. .191 by 7 has contributed 10 HRK. 10 HRK. I gotta figure out what HRK is. Croatian kunas. So $1.49 US. That contribution comes from 191 by 7. Thank you for your contribution. Have you ever received Croatian kunas? Star Trek or Wars? Definitely Wars for me. Mike Britton has contributed $5. It said that Threadripper build of yours as loud, sort of one of those be quiet cases. What? Sharon Adel has contributed £1, 1p. Thank you, Sharon. Al Perez also contributed $1. Thank you to Al. Randall Hill contributed $2. He says, I didn't get my gift for Moderator's Day. You're a moderator, though. Did Carey compare the Intel 660p to the 665p? Yes, John, I did that yesterday. Do you have a favorite Wi-Fi card? Well, ultimately it depends on what kind of router you've got. Your Wi-Fi card's not any better than your router. Or if you have a really good router, it's not any better than your Wi-Fi card. So those two things should be paired up. If you just want the best Wi-Fi card you can buy, regardless of router, and grow into it, I really like the Asus PC, what is it? PCE 88U. It's about $100, and it's a 4-stream, 4-antenna, internal PCI Express Wi-Fi card. I really like it a lot. You could get by with a USB Wi-Fi card, perhaps, or I'm forgetting one. There's USB, there's PCIe. Sometimes motherboards have an M.2, like this H370. You can use like a little laptop Wi-Fi card. Those definitely don't have the range or the power of the PCE 88U from Asus, but it may not be that you need to have all that. You know, I'm moving huge files, huge video files from the computer I'm working on, like here on the counter. I often don't want to run that extra cable across the floor. It's a tripping hazard. And with that PCE 88U, I actually had it in the streaming computer, and I would forget to plug a hard line into it, and was streaming live wirelessly. And I don't like to do that because it's too susceptible to interference or other Wi-Fi related interruption that can happen during a live stream. But it's so good, I would not even realize it until after the stream was done and I was unplugging everything that there was no Ethernet cable to unplug. And I was doing it so often that I said, you know what, I'm going to pull this card because there's no reason for me to have it in there. I want to run wired on the live stream no matter what. But that is the card I recommend if you want just the fastest, best card on the market today. And you've got to pair it with one of the fastest and best routers on the market today. It doesn't have to be Asus. It could be, you know, one of the high-end Netgear Nighthawk routers or one of the high-end Trident TP-Link the high-end TP-Link, high-end Netgear, high-end Asus, high-end D-Link. You know, when you get into the $250 and above range for your router, you'll definitely want a Wi-Fi card of that caliber. But if you don't have that, then you don't need it. If you don't have an expensive router, I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't need the expensive Wi-Fi card. Unless you're planning on getting a high-end router, in which case you can start with the Wi-Fi card and work your way into it. Grow into it, as they say. Okay, so another moderator has hidden a message, apparently because it was all caps. So this was from Hector Aviles. Hector, if you do that again, I'm going to remove your mod status. Only hide messages if they are vulgar or if they're trying to pull people away from the channel. Like, hey, I'm live, come see me. I'm not going to repeat myself again today. So if the next person in blue who does that is going to remove their blue status, please don't let me down, man. You're blue, I trust you. You're my friend. Please don't cause me any harm and damage my channel. Please? I'm asking please. Everybody needs to be aware that this live video has what's called DVR mode enabled. So instead of asking me to repeat myself, just rewind the video back to wherever you need it to be. Pause it if you need to. Power is in your hands, my friend. That looks good. Okay, motherboard's in. USB 3.0 can go right on there, as long as I put it in the right direction. Good, good. So our 8-pin CPU power cable, we'll run that out right through here, and then up through this corner. My little note's getting in the way. Let me move that. I know Angel's going to want a, did I say Angel? Valentine is going to want a optical drive, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that now. I'm glad I labeled these boxes. Can't remember who's whose already. All right, that's good. And let's see, CPU power cable. Kind of difficult when there's not a whole lot of slack on the cable, that it's got to be bent over and go back the way it came in order to fit onto the connector. I hope somebody comes up with an easier way in the future. There it is. There it is. Okay, motherboard power cable can go out there. So I want to keep that behind that cable. No. Bring that in right there. That's our front port audio. Missing pin is on the bottom. Should have that about memorized by now. I've installed so many of these boards of the same model. It's always going to be the same on the same model, but it does vary from one model to another. But I've done enough of this model, I should know by now, you know? You'd think. Let's see, hard drive LED is going to go right there. Power LED is going to go just above it, like so. And then we've got the reset switch, which goes right beside the power LED. I mean the hard drive LED. And then the power switch goes next to the power LED, above the reset switch. There we go. All pretty. Everything looks pretty good there. So I guess I can put the heatsink back on. Ma FL has contributed $2. Thank you for your contribution. Do you know of any tech enthusiast social networks? Well, tech enthusiasts are a dime a dozen. Trying to find people that are actually working technicians in a community and social networking, that's much harder to find. But there's lots and lots of tech enthusiasts everywhere you go. Every social media platform has lots of them, from YouTube and Facebook to Instagram and Snapchat. They are all out there everywhere. And I really don't recommend them because they're not of really much interest to me mostly. Me personally care about people that are self-employed computer techs or computer techs working for somebody else. We can share stories, we can relate to some of the frustrations and challenges we share. Enthusiasts, they're just hanging out, so that's easy to find that stuff. What APUs do you think are worth buying? Whatever one fits your needs, man. Should I wait for Zen 3? No, wait for like Zen 75. There's always another next best thing that when Zen 3 comes out, then you know what'll be next? Zen 4. You know what comes after that? Zen 5. Do you think Zen 5 will be better than Zen 4? Probably. You think Zen 4 will be better than Zen 3? Probably. But since we don't have a time machine and we can't advance into the future to buy things that don't exist, you'll have to make your choice with what's available today, or sit and wait forever. At some point, you're going to have to jump off and accept what is available and make a decision that fits your budget and your needs. There is no such thing as best. Only what's best for you. What's the best haircut? What's the best clothes I should buy? What's the best shoes I should buy? What kind of car should I buy? A van, a truck, an SUV, an electric vehicle, a sports car, 2 doors or 4 doors? Or maybe a hatchback, stick shift or manual? You can't tell me. You can only tell me what you want. You can't tell me what I want. And what I want is the best for me. And what you want is the best for you. And that's why these options exist. Is the 9700K worth it? For some people it's worth it, and for some people it isn't. Depends what your expectations are. It depends what your... Am I a robot? Am I just repeating myself over and over again? Is anybody hearing me? Is this on? Hello? So much sarcasm in the chat room. I'm so proud of you. I'm just catching up on some of the conversation I've missed. Anthony says, do other techs have the issue of doing work and then customers don't turn up for their systems to pay you? That's happened to me very rarely. It's usually the other way around. I'll get a call from a customer who says a tech started a job but then never came back and finished it. Like the tech got in over his head, and then rather than man up and find somebody that they can pay to resolve it, they just stop talking to the customer. They just vanish. And they say, can you finish this job somebody else started? I don't get as much work that way as I used to, but I used to get a ton of it. As for customers paying you for doing work, or rather having you do work and then don't pay you for it, as long as the customer doesn't have their computer, who cares? That's the collateral. Always keep the customer's computer until you're paid. Rob Voducia has contributed $20. He says, have a Coke on me. Your videos and channel has given me the confidence on my next 3950X build. I consider you a mentor. Thanks for all you have done over the years, Carey. Well, thank you, Rob. That's very kind of you. Mod status for Rob. Mitchell Morrison joins us. The man, the myth. The Mitch. Okay. All right, let me put this heat sink back on before I get too involved over here. Are you out there telling him, Jimmy boy? You setting it straight? Where's my boy? That's my boy. There he is. There he is. Look at you. Look at you, boy. I can't pet you right now. Just keep the place safe, will you? Make sure there's no cats. Okay. That's all there is to it, folks. We could just, oh, I guess I got to hook up motherboard power cable to that thing, huh? Probably going to need this, I suspect. I suspect this big cable probably does something important. I should probably plug that in. There we go. Very good. Very good. I like to wrap my videos up around 5 o'clock Arizona time. It's 20 after 5, which is about perfect timing. And assuming this boots up into Windows, that means I didn't break it. It means I put it back together right. And then that means I can wrap up today's video. I got some quick tips videos coming this weekend. Some exciting builds coming up this next week. And what else? I don't have any interviews scheduled next week. I do need to bring Acronis back on and talk to them again. Looks good. I need an HDMI cable. Put that in right there. Flip the switch to on. Hit the power button. Fans are turning. Power light is on. Let's flip over to camera 2. There we go. Yay, it boots. Nice. So I'm going to shut that down. Just want to inspect it one more time. Yeah. CPU fan's running. Rear case fan is running. Because Valentine will put that GTX 980 in here. So I will hook up the front case fan on this, and I have to add a DVD drive for him. And then that'll be ready to go once we get an active license in Windows. Looking good. Shuts down quick, doesn't it? Okay. All right. Turn that off, unplug that, unplug that. Give me my dongle back. And I am hungry and I need to eat. And I'm tired. And my day has just begun. So, thanks you guys so much for joining me today. It's been a fun day. And Paul says you need to get Mitch back. Oh, Mitch will be here next week. Let's see. I have some advice for everybody in the chat room. If somebody's being rude or disrespectful, just ignore them. Just ignore them. You don't have to engage them. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Brendan Looney just contributed £2. Let me thank everybody who has contributed during the... What is this? Arvid Belaris has contributed 1,000 Norwegian krona. Well, that sounds like an awful lot, doesn't it? 1,000 NOK to USD is the equivalent of $112 United States dollars. Unfortunately, YouTube's going to take 30% of that, but thank you so much for what a very generous contribution. Holy smokes, I didn't see that coming. Thank you. That's definitely mod status for you, Arvid. Wow. He says, Carey, here's some of the money that I've saved after quitting smoking a few months ago. And I should have done that 25 years ago. You hear that, smokers? Arvid, you're very generous, and your contribution is very much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you very much. I see Mike Bader in the chat. Mike has got a computer build coming up. Let's make sure Mike is a moderator. Let's see. Rick says, I hope that the rest of your weekend is a pleasant one. Thank you, Rick, and you too, and of course to all of you. Let me go back and say a thank you to everybody who contributed during today's live stream. Let me take a big breath because there was a lot of contributions today, and I appreciate that very, very much. Okay, you ready? Arvid Belaris has contributed 1,000 Norwegian krona. Brendan Looney in Stealth Mode. Stealth Mode contributed $3 and says, great lessons and friends. Thank you, Carey. Right on. Rob Fudicia, not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, contributed $20. Ma FL and Hugh Wong, 191 by 7. Mike Britton, Sharon Idle, Al Perez, Randall Hill, Ben Stroud, Brofeets, Steve Caruso, Hugh Wong, Paul 80s Ruled, Wonder Woman, Keith Davies, Thomas Robinson, Alan Forbes, Jeremy Kramer, Freddie Hendrick, Kelly McLaughlin, Rick R., Thomas Young, Michael Spangard, Jim Ennis, Ramon Rodriguez, Quiet Dad contributed $5. I think I missed that one earlier. And Silver Ghost 131 contributed £5. And Mondo Shawan contributed 55 Norwegian krona. Says, I really like your words for the mind. Thank you. Well, they weren't words for your feet. Just teasing. Thank you for the contribution. A lot of Norwegian krona today. Maybe I need to go visit Norway and have a meet and greet. Jared Blackmore's contributed £5. Says, hey, Carey, I have an M.2 port on my motherboard, but it states 10 gigabits per second is the speed. Does that mean it's NVMe, but PCI Gen 2 by 2X? No, that's not what it means. You'd have to tell me the make and model of your board, and I can tell you what the M.2 slot is. That's not enough information for me to base it on that. Bar Trek 01 has contributed $10. Actually, I'm thinking about that. 10 gigabits per second. What is SATA? SATA 3 is 600 megabits per second. Yeah, I'd have to look at the specs to tell you for sure. Somebody in the chat probably knows the answer to that. Maybe they've already answered it. Off the top of my head, I just don't measure ports by speed. I measure it by what the manual says it is. Is it PCI Express 3 Gen 4, PCI Express Gen 3 times 4 or times 2, or is it SATA? It's pretty much what I'm looking at when I'm not doing the math normally. You tell him, Jimmy. BarTrek01 contributed $10, and Alan Maybreyer, Al Perez again, Carl K., Brad Henderson, Mike Britton, Joseph Panariello, Brendan Looney, David Fapel, it contributed $2. Thanks, David. David DeVillers and Jeff0000. Jason Baum, Samuel Ramos, Irving T., Brad Henderson again, Phil Likes Bread, and John Rice. Got a whole meal going on, bread and rice. Randall Doms, again, Ann's PC Repair, Randy Ruff, Thomas Robinson, Bill Carter, Colin Hunt, Planet Cryos, Glenn Davies, Donald Burton, Red Dragon, Geo Johnson, John H., Jen D., Andreas Kanastrom, 50 Norwegian krona. Oh, my fellow Vikings. Donnie Seeger and Michael B., Steve W., Todd Ector, Fares Almanai, Brendan Looney, Jack Cornelison, Mike Yazzie, Madi Yoel, Red Dragon again, Rudiger Luthi, Jesse Kirk, Mervyn Jordan, Chris Stoner, Michael B., and the first contribution today, before the stream even started, I think, was from Jesse Kirk. So thanks to all of my friends here for joining me today. Thanks for all of the contributions from those of you who have contributed. Thank you to my friends in blue and to my friends that are not yet blue. And thank you guys for keeping it civil in the chat room. I appreciate that more than you know. And Floyd's Ghost just contributed $10 and says, and me, don't forget about me. John Williams says, it's another fine stream. Thanks for your knowledge. Hey, thanks, John Williams. You have the same name as the conductor, and therefore, since I am such a big fan of the conductor, and you appear to be such a friendly person in chat, you are now blue. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all again on Monday. Watch for some quick tips videos over the weekend. And I'm just making one more trip through the comments to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Ben Stroud says, my dream is one day to have you and Mitch come to Kansas City and visit me at my PC build and repair shop and be my guest, I'll one day get my YouTube PC repair channel started. Start today. Thank you, though. It's very nice of you to say. All right, guys. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you all again live on Monday. I hope you'll join me for that. Until then, bye for now.